Welcome everybody to today's stream. Welcome Snowdrop. Welcome Snowdrop. Thanks for the emotes, by the way. And what can I say? I'm sorry that I'm late. I just had to, make a video about the new blog post and I just released it. It was like a bit of a rush, to be honest, but I made it. So now I'm here. So, 1 second. So there we go. Welcome everybody. Hope you had a nice day so far, and I can tell you today is a good day because today we got the blog post, and yes, we didn't get an icon. Yes, we did get a blog post instead, and I have to be honest, I prefer the blog post. The blog post is it has a lot of cool insight. Not as much as I would have liked, but still quite a bit. So I have very much thought about the whole blog post, but maybe you have some thoughts as well, so let me know about them so we can debate it. I think it's actually amazing what they tell us here in the blog post, and yeah, what can I tell you? It's a lot what we expected, and in my opinion, actually quite a bit that I didn't expect. So for example, I did not expect changes to core systems. I think that's actually like insane. Yeah, exactly. I think we got Paragon and Ritualist. That is like 100% like now the confirmation. I think Ritualist is like 100% and Ritualist is like 99%. Paragon rather. I think that we have those. But yeah, I think the blog post has way more than that, to be honest. I think the blog post, at least for me, gave me a lot of hope for Guild Wars 2's future. I think, at least, I don't want to have too much copium here, but I really think they analyzed it, at least Crouched it, analyzed quite well, what like were the problems with Soto and Chantia Wilds, to be honest, and what they try to do with the next expansion. And I have to be honest, it will probably be resulting in similar, if not less, amount of content, but I think the quality of the content might improve. And to be honest, I am happy with that. I think if they put out features and content that is very good, but it's not as much as we would have liked, I'm way more happy about having that than having more content, a little bit more, but way worse content. So I'm really happy about that. And I think, to be honest, I didn't need any content in the next expansion. If we get 9 elite specs, I have so much stuff to do. I actually don't need any content, but that's obviously very special. Not a lot of people would agree with that, but still, I think the blog post just confirmed what I already suspected, that they push out way more features now and make the game more new player friendly, more interesting to veterans without having too much time and resources invested into new content. Exactly, Paragon, the Rock Johnson, exactly. Looks really crazy how the Paragon looks there, like some kind of angel and really overloaded. But I don't know about exactly how it will fit into the Warriors theme, to be honest. But what do you think about it? Do you like the blog post? Do you think it's like not really any, like a nothing burger, nothing really in there that is like crazy confirmation and crazy like 100% correct? Or I personally think they made a lot of promises. Now they have to keep up on it. And that is always like the hardest part. You can promise everything, but you have to deliver. So we will see. As a new player, I loved it. It was exciting for me. Yeah, I think for new players, to be honest, the next expansion might actually be the best expansion for sure in the last 3. And to be honest, in my opinion, it might also be better than a lot of other scenarios where you didn't even get crazy amount of new player features. And I think the new expansion might actually provide a lot of new features for new players, or at least some help with the features, so that you actually might be way less like frustrated with the crazy amounts of convoluted systems that we have nowadays. So I think that's a really good thing. Honestly, the first quarter release after the expansions launch will not include new story or map content. Has me worried for sale numbers. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think really the next expansion, that might be a really, what can I say, base take here. But I think the next expansion, they sell the next expansion with the elite specs. They say the elite specs, that's what we sell. And everything after that, to be honest, that's just like living world. They don't really want to invest a lot of effort into that. I think the most amount of effort that they put into it is the elite specs, and they say they sell well enough so that people actually play the game. And the updates after that are just to keep the game alive, keep people interested, keep bringing new players into the game. I think it's like they really say we bring out big content at the beginning with the expansion, with the elite specs, and then you have like 1 year where you get small amount of content with some features. That's like really the thing that they want to give you the like summary here. I think they didn't put it as bluntly as I just did, but I really think that's quite likely. I personally think that is, with a limited time of resources, maybe the correct way, maybe not. We will see how it turns out. But in either way, I think it's better to drop the expansion with a lot of content than bringing it out over 3 months and then not having crazy amounts of content either. So that's just my take. Casual players don't give a fuck about core system reworks. That might be true, but the thing that I see here as well is that new players and casual players will probably not like be happy about very small maps that you can explore in 15 minutes either. Yeah. So I personally think that how it was like right now with, for example, Mistburned Barrens, I think that was not good anyway. So I think, is it better to get core features reworked so that new players stick around for longer? Or would you rather have a map that no one plays after like 2 months or 2 weeks even? So I think that's like, you can only choose between 2 bad options in that way. And I think if they perform well and the core system reworks are actually insane and it's like really crazy UI features, it's crazy just how, for example, how good the features are regarding new raids and instance content, putting it together, making some overarching currency or whatever they have in stock for us. I think that is a feature that a lot of new players are very intrigued by and will not quit the game, and so we can keep the game somewhat alive. That's my take there. I'm a long-time fan of yours. Thanks, I really appreciate it. I'm planning to restart Guild Wars 2 and fully enjoy the story campaign and eventually craft legendary armor. I'm currently deciding between Necromancer and Guardian. My main focus will be Fractals, PvP, and open world. I'm not really into raids and world versus world. Could you please give me some advice on which one is overall easier or maybe even more fun to play? Thank you so much. So I think it depends a bit what kind of role you want to fill. I think if you want to fill the DPS role or just play, I think Reaper is a very good spec. So going for Necromancer, if you play PvP, Fractals, and open world, is a very good choice. If you want to play a support, I would say Guardian is better and you play, for example, Willbender. Firebrand is not that easy, but still. I would say Reaper is a very good choice from what you have said there. I would really recommend that one. And what else is good? Oh my god, why are they dying so much? If you don't play the healer, just very classic. Yeah, and yeah, I think you can play some very easy core or Dragon Hunter 1 LI build, something like that, really easy build. But the problem with that one is that you can't play it in open world and you can't really play it in PvP. So I would say, for me, the choice would be Reaper. I think Reaper is really good and it will even get better over time with a lot of new stuff added to the game. I think Reaper is a very, very good choice. That's my recommendation there. Thanks for all the guides and updates on Guild Wars 2. It is really nice to have so much up-to-date content available. Yeah, glad you enjoy it. I put a lot of effort in lately. I really work my whole spare time is putting out content for you and I really enjoy it. But it's a lot of time that I put in and it's really nice if you have such nice, kind words to give back to me. So thanks a lot. As the Resident Doom chat, that sounds a lot like Corbion. Also, I just wanted to use that emote. Yeah, I agree. I think, I'm a content creator. I want to be positive about the game. But I agree, of course, I'm a little bit coping there. But if the core feature rework, if that turns out to be something really big, for example, I think they should put in, that's my prediction, what I really feel like that could be really good, is putting raids and strike missions together. So making raids and strike missions, so you have the Lion's Arch Airdrome. And from there, you have some kind of UI where you can select, I want to fight this boss, I want to fight this boss, and you can directly go, for example, to Doom if you wanted to. And if you make that, it's very straightforward. You can then also select, I want to have the emboldened mode or something like that, and that the UI really supports that. And that you even can, so to say, okay, I want to find a group for that specific boss with this setup, that you have a really crazy good, so to say, looking for a raid group feature. I think that could really help to get people into old content, even without having to put out new content in that form. But, of course, you're right, that will not bring back old players, for sure. That is not something that is happening. So I can see why you would say this is not changing too much, for sure. Paragon and Ritualist, let's go. I really want Dervish though. I hope we get it. I think we will get Dervish as well. I think Paragon and Ritualist are 99% confirmed now, but Dervish will probably come out as well, I would say. Willbender goes Zoom, Reaper going Brew. Yeah, exactly. Willbender is really good, but I think Willbender in fractals and in open world is not as easy to play as Reaper, and I think Reaper is also a very, very good spec for most players if you want to start out the game. I think it's one of my top 3 specs. If I would say you have no class fantasy preference, Reaper is probably one of the best classes in terms of how flexible it is, how, so to say, easy it is to get into, and how less punishing it is. So that's my prediction, or my analysis here. Welcome, my charlatan. Welcome. Yeah, I hope the hype is great, and I agree. I hope the hype is great in the community as well. For me, it's great. I like to have more content to talk about. So yes, for me, the hype is there. Does that mean that the whole community sees it like that? Sadly not. Sadly not. Just ask Snowdrop. Don't know if you will have time to cover Condi, Alacrity DPS Mirage. It's too hard to learn with the paper guide. I will try to cover it. I think the full DPS version is even harder for me to cover. So maybe I find some cooperation partner like Find or Ryan that can actually help me to do the video, because I have to learn the build first and then I can showcase it to you, and that's obviously taking a lot of effort. So I really like to have someone that actually can help me there or showcase it even. For Alacrity DPS Mirage, I think that might be a little bit easier, so maybe that will come out first, but I have it on my long to-do list, so don't worry. It will come out at some point, I hope. They added stacks. Torch is the same for ADPS and DPS trade change. Yeah, exactly. It feels both of them are still quite hard to play, I would say. It's not very straightforward or easy to learn, at least. I think it's, for me, Chrono is way easier to play as Alacrity DPS. But yes, I get your point. It's a very cool spec, and I will definitely try to make a guide about it. Don't worry. A lot of people ask for that, yeah. Are there any guesses on the new Guardian spec? So currently we have, let me go into World versus World for a bit. Currently, we have, let's do some meta events. Currently, we have guaranteed that Ritualist will be probably a Necromancer spec. That's pretty much confirmed. We have for Warrior probably confirmed that it will be Paragon or something like that. I think the colors are really indicating Warrior. And for the other 2 heavy armor classes, I think we don't have any confirmation. We got the icon with the helmet. That could be Guardian, that could also be Paragon. I think it is not clear. And we got the icon with the teeth, or whatever you want to call it, that we got, I think, yesterday. That could be Revenant. But this is just speculating at that point. And I think we don't know how the Guardian spec will be called anyway. I think it could be some kind of Valkyrie. It could be anything, to be honest. It could be Paladin, whatever. We don't know. We will see what is actually coming out. And we will get probably the next 3 days 3 more Elite specs, icons, and on Monday another one. That is my prediction there. But no more speculating about Guardian Elite spec, because I don't know anything more than you do. Paragon will be Warrior, the color scheme and iconography is Spellbreaker-like. Yeah, exactly. I agree. The color scheme is really pointing towards that. And I think that's completely fine. I think people would actually like that. I want an Enchi spec with no pet. I'm waiting for that since EOD. Yeah, I think if you look at the medium armor classes, I think it's actually, my prediction at this point is that we get the card spec, the gambler, the gambit, however you want to call it, is thief. That's like 90%, I would say. And then this icon with this orb and this two things floating around it that no one actually knows, this unknown icon, I think that's engineer. What could that be? I have no clue. It could be anything, to be honest. To be honest, it could also be elementalists, so it's not clear that it's engineer. So we have to wait to get more icons to actually exclude anything else. But what can I say about that? Not too much. I think Ranger is the same. Ranger could be the bard with the loot, but it could also be not known yet. I think Ranger is a very open thing. You could put anything on Ranger. And the same actually goes for Elementalist. I think Elementalist is also quite open. I think the only two that are somewhat clear is the Bard for Mesmer. Maybe, probably. That's only 50%. It could also be Ranger. And we get definitely the Ritualist, which we don't have an icon for yet, but that will be Necromancer. That's my current analysis of the situation. So I don't know if Engineer will get some kind of pet or not. I think they already made some kind of pet with Mechanist, so I think it's actually quite likely that Engineer will get some kind of focused thing that is only focused on itself and not having a pet. That is my prediction. But, what can you say? I'm gonna cry if we get Bard on Mesmer. I think if we get Bard on Mesmer, it would probably not be called Bard, it would probably be called Minstrel. But in any case, I think that's 50-50. I think it could also be Ranger and then it would be called Bard. I think that is it depends on ANET how they want to put it out. I think both specs could have the idea of that. If Ranger gets the Minstrel or Bard spec, then Mesmer is completely open and I don't know what Mesmer will get then. It could be anything. Mesmer is really interesting because it's like mind manipulation. It could be anything. So maybe we get, I really don't know what we will get there. But it's really interesting to talk about it. When there were EOD predictions, I was wanting so much for Engineer. And what I get was a pet spec with Signet. I was so disappointed. Yeah, I think for me, a Mechanist is one of the specs that I don't like playing that much just because of the pet and it's just really unresponsive sometimes. So I'm not a big fan of that. Thanks, by the way, for all the follows. Really appreciate it. I think Mechanist was not the big, for me, hype for Engineer, but I hope the new spec will actually bring up a lot of hype where I can say this is like, okay, now I want to play Engineer. Before it was like, okay, this is not for me. But to be honest, with how it turned out now with this icon, I can see myself playing that. I don't know anything about it, but I think it looks way more interesting to me than Mech. Why? I don't know. It looks more interesting. Do you think they will finally rework LFG? I think this is quite likely. Yeah. In the blog post they mentioned they want to do some rework of core systems, and one of the most core systems for PvE is the LFG. I think the LFG is used by, I don't know, high percentage of PvE players, like every day, because it's such a core feature in any game mode that uses, I mean game mode in sense of PvE game mode, so raids, strike missions, open world, fractals, everything loses the LFG. So I think a rework of that would be really good because it's something that is actually really outdated, for sure. I'm torn between Engineer and Revenant. Which one do you enjoy most? I enjoy Revenant theme more, but I enjoy Engineer gameplay more. I personally like the Engineer theme, but I like the Revenant theme way more, and I also like the gameplay of Revenant a lot. Sadly, Revenant in PvE right now feels a little bit like niche. I don't play it that often because it doesn't have any outstanding builds, which is not always something that I want to have. I want to play builds that are fun, but if they are just outclassed by everything that is like in the similar niche, I don't really play them that often. So I like the gameplay and the theme a little bit more from Revenant, but I really hope that the new Elite spec that we get for Engineer brings me to Engineer. I played a lot of Engineer, for example in PvP, or also when, for example, Mechanist was absolutely broken after EOD release. Of course I played it as well as a support main, but I really hope that the new one brings me to Engineer and I can also make some crazy fun builds that I actually enjoy playing, not only because they are really broken, but also because they have a fun, interesting mechanic. So I have my hopes up for that one. I'm so excited. I don't think this is the last expansion like a lot of Doom streamers. Yeah, I think they made it pretty like they sold it quite well. I don't know if it will be the last expansion or not. I can't make any statement about that one. I think this expansion is setting up for a lot of features that they want to add to make the game more interesting. Is it an expansion where I would say we get a lot of crazy content and we will love it for the end of times, like for example Heart of Thorns? No, I don't see that. I actually think this will be an expansion with the least amount of content that we ever got, because they put so much effort into elite specs and features. That is my prediction. Really, I think this new expansion will have the least amount of content ever released in an expansion. That is not a Doomer take, that is actually a very copium take, because that means that they put a lot of effort into reworks of core systems, of the elite specs and all that stuff. So I actually hope that they put out a lot of so to say, developers out of the story things and put it into the making the game better. I really hope that will be the case. Will that be like that? No, we don't know. It could be, but it doesn't need to be. We will see. That's at least what the blog post sounds to me like. Staff engineer pray? Yeah, I think engineer could be anything, but what we got in the blog post, Coco, it's quite clear that we will not get weapons. That's what they said. We will not get weapons. So yes, there could be some kind of like Reaper Shroud on Engineer, like Holoforge, something like that, where you get like a special weapon. Yes, but we will not get a new weapon on a class that we already have. This will not be the case. We will get an elite spec with traits, with 1 trait line, with 1 healing skill, 1 elite skill, and 4 utility skills. This will be what we will get with the new expansion for each class. 1 elite spec, that's what we get. No new weapon. Is that bad? No, not at all. I think this is giving us a lot of build crafting possibilities, but for people that wanted to have new weapons, that's obviously a sad statement for sure. Do you have any plans to bring out a guide for Heal Scrapper? Do you think it's viable for CM Fractals? Yes and yes. I'm actually working on it. I'm not sure how long it will take. I have a lot of things on my mind, but Healing Scrapper is one of the things, so don't worry, there will be a guide about it. And in my opinion, it is underrated. It is not outclassing Chronomancer in my opinion, especially in Fractal CMs, but it is definitely playable there, for sure. So yes, to both questions. I put all my money, they will break the game and do a rollback? Really? I really hope not. To be honest, I think it will probably be absolutely insane and broken. Yes, I actually expect that. I think the new expansion will probably have the craziest amount of like changes, how it looks like and how it feels like, and that they probably break the DPS numbers even higher and will nerf it not as much down anymore. So we will probably end up at 50k at least for each DPS spec. Yes, that will probably happen in PvE, but I actually think they are quite good at making expansions quite like, there might be bugs, but that they do full rollbacks, that only happened once, and it wasn't even an elite spec release. It was just a random patch, not really something big. And they only rolled it back like a few hours. So I think most players were actually not even affected. I just remember because I really played there, but that's about it. That's my prediction. I don't see it happening, that there is some big crazy hiccups coming. But you never know, you never know. Maybe they'll do a LFG rework? Yes, I actually think that is rather likely, to be honest. Rather likely. No problem, no problem. Welcome, welcome Shiv, welcome. Hope you all had a nice day, and if you have any questions, any comments, let me know. I'm always happy to answer. And we have some really good news today, so you can check out the blog post. If you're on Twitch, you can type !blog post and you can check out my video there. Or if you're on YouTube, just scroll down and you can see in the description of the stream, you can see my link to the blog post video where I analyze it very deeply, and you can also read it there, of course, as well. Sounds a bit like the Guild Wars 2 version of Final Fantasies Reborn. I think, to be honest, like the ginseng, that would be, for me, as a content creator, as someone that has the longevity of the game in mind, I think that would be amazing. If they would just do an expansion that is not providing content for the most part, but is completely reworking systems and bringing stuff that like enhances the game in the long run, that is crazy good. Will it be a crazy selling expansion if there's no content in there? No. But we get the elite specs, and in my opinion, elite specs are such a good selling point that I think actually, even if the content is less than in Soto or Chante Waltz even, I think it will probably still sell better because of the elite specs, even if the content is lower. So I personally actually really hope that this will be the case. Of course, a lot of people, a lot of doomers think that the core rework is just an excuse for a small amount of features that they bring and less content. But I really hope that we get a lot of features. Yeah, I really think so. Manu, really nice videos. Would love to have a healing guide for raids too, maybe something in general. I mean, I have a guide about how to support and how to heal, and I think that is perfect to use in raids as well. So check that one out. But maybe I will do a specific healing encounter commentary for each encounter. Yeah, that could be coming in the future as well. Yeah. But I really think that is, like Snowdrop puts it here, I think getting a full rework of the game is not what we can expect with this expansion. This expansion was in work for a year. So can we expect that they rebuild the whole Guild Wars 2 and make it even better than before? No, I don't see that happening. I think this is not very likely. And I have to be honest, I think it's still the case that a lot of the developers are working on something in the background, the unannounced project. I think this does not change. It does even confirm it to my, let's say, to my thing, because I think a lot of the people that are working or did work on Guild Wars 2 contents like new map, new story and that stuff, I think a lot of them are working now on the unannounced project, and only a small portion, like for example feature developers like UI and the people that actually know how to develop stuff that is already in the game, how it works, those people still work and bring out the new features or reworks with the next expansion. I think that's my prediction. So it's like a smart way to split the developer time, for sure. That's my prediction. With the new expansion, changing strikes, raids, doing an update, that guide on the current strategy metas might be a goldmine. Yeah, definitely. I will do that if there is some like crazy change in the rights, how people play it, how people do raiding, strikes, whatever it's actually coming. Yes, I will do updates to them for sure, 100%. And I think there is not that much crazy good content in form of a video about guides in general of encounters. There are a lot of really good websites, but I think video guides, there are not that many. So I think that is definitely something I want to do. Don't worry. Yes. There's so much content, meta, maps, and they can just rework and fix it. Yes, they could do that. Would it be a really good selling expansion because of the reworks of old stuff? No, not at all. A lot of people did it. And to be honest, it's not very likely that they will actually make a rework only expansion. That I don't see that because it's not a very good selling point. But I see why they would try to rework some stuff so that new players will still stick to the game, even though the amount of content that we get nowadays, new content, is not that much. So I think that's their whole goal, that they put out content or to keep most veterans somewhat interested in the game, but not completely like try-harding all the time. Whereas they also want to actually get new players sticking to the game. That's my whole prediction of what they're actually going for. Let's see if they will achieve that. Yeah. I honestly think the supposed LFG rework will be fusing some categories into each other to reduce the bloat, but an actual rework will cost too much time and resources. I highly doubt it will come close to the expectations we have. Yes, I don't want to be any like naysayer here, but I think the whole core feature rework, we have a lot of hopes for that. Will they get close to it? Probably not. It's just a very nice way of saying we put less resources in the next expansion than we did with Chante Waltz and Soto. That is like my current prediction of what they actually said in the blog post. But if they make it in a way that like helps the new players to stick to the game, I think the game is healthier than if you put a lot of effort into new content that is then lackluster and not as much as we wanted to. That's just my prediction. So I'm overall happy with the blog post, yes. I have Bifrost starter kit and actually confused, should I craft it for myself or sell it? I think it depends. If you use a lot of stuff, if you like the skin, sure, go for it. If you don't, then sell it, you know. It's always like depending on your situation. Just be aware though, you lose a little bit of the money by using the taxes on the trading post. Welcome, Maro. What elite spec would you recommend to a new Guild Wars 2 player that wants to learn to PvP on a spec with high burst damage? My first AD is a Thief, but I heard it's hard to learn, and Willbender or Virtuoso might be similar and easier to start with. Oh, that's like, I think in PvP all bursty specs are hard. Willbender, Virtuoso, all of them are quite hard. Virtuoso is a little bit more forgiving, but is also not as broken as Willbender and Thief right now. So I think you should go for the one that you enjoy the most. Both of them, or all three of them rather, are actually surprisingly good in PvP and in all game modes. So just go for the one that you enjoy the most, because all three will be played in all game modes. So that's my somewhat boring answer, but it's the best answer that I can give you. Also, lots of old content can't be reworked since the code base is so fucked that they are scared to touch it. Just look at dungeons. Yeah, I think that's why I think it's actually quite hard to make core reworks like LFG, like World vs. World reworks, because they actually don't have anybody that actually understands the code anymore. That's like the really sad part about it. Currently coming back to Guild Wars 2 after a 2-year break. Which support heal class are currently played and are viable? So I have a tier list on my YouTube channel just very, very recently, I think a few days ago, about the best healers. You can check that one out. And in general, link to my YouTube, by the way, is in the description of the Twitch panel. And there is a tier list for all the healers, but I would say all healers that can provide quickness or alacrity are actually decent. The current balance is really good. The best healer, in my opinion, is Chronomancer. That's just the short answer, but there are so many that you could play. Thanks for the follows, really appreciate it. Found you on YouTube. Just want to say I enjoy your low intensity build. Really helped me get into fractals and raids. Trying to replicate snow close rotations from just benchmark videos is hard. It's very nice to have an actual guide. Yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I have way more stuff coming up, also low intensity and on all directions, so I'm always happy to help. Yeah, it's a good resource, my YouTube channel, to find builds like that. So yeah, glad you enjoy. I really disagree with the spaghetti code arguments. It's their job to write and fix code. People say the exact same thing in Final Fantasy XIV. I agree that in an ideal world, they should have the ability to do that. But the problem is the game is currently 13 years old. And it was developed like 10 years started earlier than that. So it's like over 20 years at this point that the code is functioning. So how many developers stick around for that time? Like close to zero. So that means the original developers of the code are not there anymore. Is it in a real company always the case that everyone knows about every single bit of code? No, it should be, but it is not. So I can see both sides of the argument, and I have to say, in a real world, in an ideal world, they should put out that stuff and should get the stuff working again. Maybe they don't see the effort that they put in as a lot of nice time investment, but apparently they don't do it. That's just the fact of the matter, yeah. But that's just like my analysis of the situation. We had to have an interview here with a developer that actually gave us some information there. But they will never do that because they can't tell us in the face and say, no, we don't know about the code of dungeons, for example. They will never say that. So that's sad, but that is understandable. They want to sell the game and don't want to say, no, we don't understand the code anymore. So I think there is some arguments for both sides, for sure. Do you think they make Guild Wars 3 after next expansion? Oh, that's a hot topic. I think I will postpone my answer to this question in, like, let's say a few months, okay? I will give you an answer to that question in a bit, okay? Not right now, because I can't tell you how broken and how the crazy good or bad the game looks after the next expansion. Only then I can tell, yeah. I understand it takes time and money, but the players shouldn't have to defend a company for not doing something. For sure. That much I'm 100% with you. I think we are the customers. If we have something to criticize, they have to work it out. Not we, for sure, 100%. Technical debt exists in every software project. It's not just an ANX-specific issue. Yeah, 100%. 100%. If it's just a case of we don't have the time or money to do it, then hey, fair enough. Exactly. I think they have to make some cuts because they're, after all, not having like thousands of developers working on the project, not like Blizzard and other crazy big games. No, they have only a few hundred people working in total there. And I personally think currently working on Guild Wars 2, it's not that much. Not half of them is working on something else. So I think they have just not the manpower behind that and the money to put in. That's just my prediction. But yes, in an ideal world, we criticize the game for something, they have to fix it. That's just fact. We are customer, for sure. How is Willbender in PvE and PvP? Willbender is really good. Really good. S tier in both game modes. They didn't announce an expansion after next expansion. Usually they do. That is true. That is a very telling sign. But it is like still not guaranteed. I would say we have to wait until the next roadmap and see if in the roadmap they actually tell us stuff that we did expect with the last expansion but we didn't get, and then we will probably see something. I think it's quite telling that it didn't announce it yet, but I can't tell for 100% certainty that this is the case, that we get Guild Wars 3 after 3 years and we will not get another expansion after the 6th one. It's very likely, or somewhat likely, but not 100% for sure. I see you are playing Spear Reaper. How does it feel in PvP? I played a few matches as Power Harbinger using your suggested build. Yeah, Power Harbinger is really, really good. Power Reaper with Spear in PvP is not as good, I would say. Will you update your World vs. World solo roaming tier list after the actual patch hotfixes? Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Don't worry. I think new elite specs is actually a great way to conserve dev resources. No new weapon means no new animation, and I fully agree adding new specs is more interesting than new maps. Yeah, that is not, that with the map part, that is something that not all people would agree to, but I think the resources for developing elite specs and the payout for it is way higher than adding a lot of resources for story and maps, where then you only play it once and people don't even buy it if they're not interested in the map. Elite specs, I think 99% of the players are interested in elite specs, so I think it will probably be really likely that they will put out a lot of effort to get the elite specs really nice and really broken and overpowered, and people will buy the expansion even if it's only the elite specs. That's my prediction. Welcome neighbor, welcome. Do you have a guide of getting ascended gear like trinkets and armor? Yes, on my YouTube channel I have an ascended gear guide. You can type, I think in the Twitch chat, you can type !guides and you will get actually to a spreadsheet where all my guides are listed, as well as the Ascended Gear Guide. There's so many maps matters now, but the new way to play will be so good. Yeah, exactly. I think getting a new way to play lets you enjoy content that is already in the game. That's always something that is good. You want to have more players going back to old content, even if you didn't put any resources in just because of some old, like, new elite specs that you put in, but old content. Yes, 100%. Glad I could catch another stream. Wanted to ask how good are liquidities that are good for beginners, if you had a video that compares them. I don't have a video about that yet. I will try to make one like that to compare how good boon DPSs are, but you could check out my tier list from a few days ago, my boon DPS tier list, and there I also mention how easy they are to play. And there are quite a lot of good ones on my YouTube channel. You can check that out. With the quality of Chanteval's update, I feel like maybe half the team is working on Guild Wars 2. Yeah, that could be right about. What people fail to realize is that the heyday of Guild Wars 2 is long gone. After Season 4, the game was supposed to end. They ramped up production again for EOD and let it drift into the Shadow Realm after that. Take what you can get. This isn't 2015 anymore. Yeah, that is like a very typical veteran point of view, and I agree with you. And I'm happy that we get elite specs, because that's something that keeps me interested in the game for a long time, even if you don't get more content. But if you expect to get like 6 maps a year, this is not happening. So you will not go back into Season 4 stuff. Yeah, keep that in mind. Especially financially, remember Sancheval's didn't sell well. Exactly. And I think they're now pulling, so to say, the emergency panic button trigger. That they say, we bring out elite specs, which will be guaranteed to be a good selling point for the next expansion, while we also draw a lot of developers that usually would develop maps and stuff into our next project, so that we actually still get a good product or a product that sells well without having the development time of the earlier products. That's my prediction. That's why they do it like that. Let me check. Maybe it's a different command. 1 second. I have it somewhere. 1 second, I will send you the block, the how is it called? I send you the spreadsheet. Give me a second. Maybe I forgot to make the command, sorry. And there is, of course, also there we go. This is the spreadsheet for all the guides. Is there any guide for being a tank in every raid wing? I don't have that out yet, and I think not a lot of people actually have guides about how to tank in Guild Wars 2 in general. But there are only half of the raid bosses, if even, that where you need a tank. And in most situations, I think if you learn the raid encounter on some kind of raid training Discord, they also explain how to tank. So I would highly recommend doing that. But learning how to tank with a video is also okay. Sadly, I don't have one yet. Only for Veil Guardian and Gorsiville, I think. So I looked up some of your tier list videos and Spectre seems now pretty viable. Did they change Spectre a lot? I remember Spectre was kind of clunky to play as Boon DPS and healer as well. Now Spectre is like really good right now. I think Spectre is one of the best support specs right now, probably top 5. And it works in all game modes. It's really, really strong in all game modes now. Even as a DPS, Spectre is just really well rounded now. I would highly recommend to try it out again. Yeah, elite specs, Paragon and Ritualist are the break in case of financial emergency buttons, just like EOD was before. Yeah, exactly. And I think they really pull all cards that they have and say, now we put everything out to get the most amount of money for the least amount of time and effort that we put in, so that we get a lot of money and can put a lot of resources on something unannounced in the background. And only then after this year has passed, so when we would get the 7th expansion, then they either have to find another way to pull another panic button, but I don't see one, to be honest. So they will probably just say, like at the end of 2026 of the cycle, they will say, now Guild Wars 3 will come out in 2 years or something. Yeah, I think that is like the most likely scenario. Maybe they find some other panic button and can pull out another expansion. Is it likely? I don't know. I don't have any ideas for that one. Yeah, Bard as well, yeah. Will they release the elite specs alone or with an expansion? They will do with an expansion. It will be an expansion. It will not have as much content as Chante Wilds and Soto. What do you think of Harbinger? Is it Necro or something else? I mean, Harbinger is a Necromancer. It just feels a little bit more squishy. Yes, it's definitely a Necromancer. The problem is there is no reason to play any support class other than Heal Chrono. I mean, the question is, you should have fun. You know, playing a game is always, you play the game for fun. So if you have fun playing another support, we will do that later. I will play Healing Berserker, and I have a lot of fun with this build. And is it better than Chronomancer? No, it's not. But is it fun to me? Yes. And it's surprisingly underrated. So in my opinion, play the thing that is fun. Even if there's something that's a little bit more broken, sure. That is, if that's not fun to you, then play the most broken thing. But if you have fun playing something that's not absolutely broken, just a little bit broken, still you can play it. It's Guild Wars 2 PvE is in that regard very flexible. You can play almost any build and you will still succeed. I can also help you how to get Ascended Gear. I'm a fairly new player, but I'm full Ascended Gear. Like I said, I have a really good guide about how to get Ascended Gear. I put a lot of effort in on my YouTube channel. You just have to check it out. Just type Ascended Gear or something like that on my channel, search bar, whatever, and you will find it. Or just check out my build spreadsheet, geared spreadsheet that I just posted in Twitch chat. You do not need huge maps for them to be interesting. I've spent most hours farming Silverways for sure. Tiny map with so much dynamic and interesting rewards. They should return to this approach. Yeah, I was always like a big advocate of bringing new maps that are very replayable. I don't want to have a map that is like insane to explore, but then you will never do it again. Like, look at the Path of Fire maps. The Path of Fire maps, in my opinion, are really nice, in my opinion. Is there an incentive to go back? No, not really. There are some meta events, but most of them are bugged, so it's not a really good example. So I personally think maps like Auric Basin, Light, Tangled Depths, people still go back to it. And I think that's because of the nice meta events, the replayable things. So I personally think this is like, in my opinion, the ideal way to make a new map. Make it interesting, make it replayable, make it have longevity. That's the important part. That's really the thing what is interesting to people, for sure. Nerf Moa Signet? Yeah, they should nerf the CC of Chronomancer. There should be some kind of nerfs, but they are really hesitant with nerfs in general in PvE for supports. So I'm not sure if they will actually nerf down supports or if they will buff all other supports to Chronomancer levels, even if that's even possible. Your videos helped me quite a lot getting fully geared. I'm preparing mentally now to start going for legendary trinkets. Yeah, Alpha, that's a really cool idea. There are so many cool long-term goals, grinding goals for Guild Wars 2. So just enjoy the ride and don't rush. You know, you will get there in the end. And like a lot of veterans are complaining about not having enough content. If you take it slowly, if you have fun, you will always have content to do. So that's the good part. Or you are like me and play all the different builds, all the different things and talk about the game, and then you have always stuff to do as well. So it's always about the mindset, for sure. Yeah, look at exactly. Soto maps are the same. Soto maps have some replayability because you need to farm them for the legendary open world armor. Yes, people go back to that. Is it a crazy good map? That's debatable, but people go back. It's alive. Whereas the, let's say, for example, Mistborn Barons map, people only go there to do the hard and then they are done. There is nothing really that keeps you going back to that map every day. No, not really. And that's like something that is a little bit sad, because I think that's really easy to implement. Making legendaries that people will go back to a specific map to farm them, that's the easy way to make it that people are interested in it. Why they didn't do that for the most part, or not that, like, say, longevity thinking, I don't know. I really don't know. But that's just my analysis of why, for example, Chance Wilds doesn't feel as like crazy long-term replayable as, for example, Soto maps or even Heart of Thorns maps. Yeah, for sure. Perfect exploration size and pacing. Zero repeatability was PoF maps in a nutshell. Yeah, exactly. I think it's insane how good they are in terms of exploration. I think it's really good. The mount usage there, just how they look, how they feel, it's amazing. But you don't go back to them. You know, I did map exploration, I think, once for each map, and that's it. Because you can get the legendaries from Heart of Thorns, not from Path of Fire. You can get it from there as well, but it's slower. Why would you do it then? So yes, that's just my take. Yeah, 100%. Path of Fire maps were oversized because of the mount release, but they forgot to fill those maps with something. It is so boring to travel through empty desert maps. I think you could make an argument that a desert has to feel like empty because it's a desert. In a desert, you don't have like crazy amounts of crazy things happening all the time. But I can get your argument for sure. There had to be more events to make it more interesting for sure. Or I think in general, I think the maps are okay. But the problem is the longevity of it, 100%. Yeah, sure, Janis, no problem. Glad I could help. The benchmark of Mirage is highest 52 to 54k, so do you think that they will get nerfed? Or will they increase the threshold of maximum damage to higher than 50k for every class? I think right now they nerfed it last week. They nerfed it a bit down from 54k, 55k to 52. And if they are happy with that, they will leave it and probably say new benchmarks should be 50k. I think that's not a good thing to do for the game. But it currently looks like they are happy with classes being at 48 to 52k if they're highest performing benchmarks. Yeah, I think that's what it's currently looking like. Maybe we get another balance patch next week, maybe. But to be honest, I really actually think they are happy with the current damage output. Yeah. This is an issue of all MMORPGs. So much effort put into creating huge world and people rushing through it, and they wait in front of a bank for instant LFG. Guild Wars 2 is actually better in this than most. Yeah, I think this is a big problem that a lot of MMOs or games in general have. If you put out new content, a lot of old content a lot of times gets just overlooked because people are going for the new one and you just don't go back to it. But I think especially in a horizontal game, that should be easier to keep people like in there. I think in a horizontal game where you have no reason to always go to the highest level map, which is like typical in classical gear grinding MMOs like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy to get the highest amount of gear level, in Guild Wars 2 you don't have that problem. So in my opinion, it is definitely a good thing to have horizontal progression, and in my opinion it would be the ideal way to have people and meta events and legendaries bound to all kinds of old maps so that people will go back to it 100%. Sadly, with the newest expansion, they didn't do it correctly in my opinion. Yes, there is the spear and the legendary backpack, but it is quite fast to actually get the stuff that is bound to the maps. It's way more incentivizing you to go for instance contents like rift hunting in older maps or going for convergences. So it doesn't feel that crazy alive in my opinion. I mean, with the last Raid Wing, unless you are running top damage DPS builds, good luck with that, especially CM version. Yeah, I think that's the problem. That's why I always say I don't want to see higher DPS numbers. I'm not caring for people being, let's say, able to clear Veil Guardian. I don't care. If you can clear Veil Guardian because of the higher DPS numbers, I'm happy for you. What I don't like is that we get new encounters that have to be balanced around those higher damage numbers. And therefore, they have to have higher health pools And that means that it is just an HP sponge for most players. And that's not good. I want to have an engaging fight, not something that takes 10 minutes to kill and has no mechanics. So that's the problem. That's really the big problem here. What is that mount wheel? I have a guide about that. It's called Blish Hut and it's the mount wheel. So it's really helpful to just get on the mounts faster. I have a guide on my YouTube channel about that. Welcome, Arthur. Welcome, welcome. Hope you had a nice day so far. Thanks for all the follows. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's a heated debate, and I can see why you would have different opinions there, but I think making DPS classes or in general supports everything, having higher DPS numbers is not healthy for the longevity of the game. Just, that's it. That's my statement. That doesn't mean I want to offend people that wouldn't have been able to clear Veil Guardian before the DPS power creep. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm just saying new content is always harder to produce if you have feature and power creep. That's my point, especially in a horizontal progression game. That's just my whole statement. Balancing around the top 1% is crazy. Yes, and ArenaNet was always known for doing that. Always. When there was a Catalyst build that was like really hard to play, Spear Catalyst doing almost 50k at the release of Chantia Wilds. Yeah, back then it was crazy like that. And only like 10 people in the community could pull that off. They nerfed it down so much that Spear Catalyst is now not playable as a DPS build in that sense, or at least it's not good, the best weapon anymore. So they overnerf stuff that is really crazy high only for a few handful of people. And I hope this time with the Mirage, they don't overdo it, because a lot of people like to play a DPS Mirage, and nerfing it down so much that people will not be able to play it anymore or don't want to play it anymore is not a good thing. They should nerf it to a healthy degree, 100%. Welcome, Mr. Broken One. What have you thought when they completely ended the story of Guild Wars with End of Dragons and started this mess of story that was sold in Chantia Wilds? To be honest, ever since, I would say, the end of Soto's story, I don't even listen to Chantia Wilds' story, and I was never into big like story lore debates, so I can't give you my arguments there. I think the story in Guild Wars 2 is okay. It had better parts, like in Living World Season 4, and it has worse parts with, I don't know, some kind of Living World Season 1 parts, but I really think I don't play the game for the story. That's my whole argument here. I play the game for the gameplay, for the combat, for the fun that I have. I don't care about the story. That might be a hot take, because a lot of people enjoy the story or want to do the story and the exploration of it. I don't care. I just want to go to the gameplay part. Do you have a guide for Legendary Zeros CM? I kinda understand you more than anyone. I don't have that yet. Maybe in the future, Shiv. Maybe in the future. Yeah. I have so much currently on my to-do list. I will try to get to all eventually, but like, I'm not joking. I have 100 videos to do. And even though I'm putting out one video a day, it is still a lot of stuff to talk about in the game. The game is immense, so more stuff to come, don't worry. Just because Mirage benchmark 54k doesn't mean, yeah, it doesn't mean everyone gets it, especially in recent scenarios. Yeah, that's completely correct. And I think that is what ArenaNet, the balance devs typically try to understand, but sometimes they don't. You know, there are 10 people currently, or let's say maybe 50, that actually know how to perform on this build, that they can actually reach the 52, 53k that is currently possible. Yeah, there are only a handful of people that can do that, even though people really try to achieve that. It's really hard. So in real scenarios, it's even harder. So yes, I think that is a very important statement, but what can you do? Yeah, it's exactly the Perma Shatter build, yes. They shouldn't have gotten rid of Choco, change my mind. No, I don't change your mind. I'm with you there, 100%. Yeah, I think it's not 100. It's probably less than 100. I think it's, Arthur, I'm pretty sure it's 50 or less that reached actually the benchmark there of 54k before the patch and 52k now. Mirage is one of the hardest specs to play. It is the DPS specs, the stacks Mirage. So I think not a lot of people actually achieved that number. And they will still nerf it probably to 50k or even less, even though only a handful of people play it and can reach that, especially in real fights. If you play that fight because of the forced movement, for example, on bosses that have a lot of, let's say, mechanics where you could die because of movement, you will not reach that number. Only like a couple of players that actually know the encounters well enough would reach that number. So it's really, it's not a hot take to say that they balance with the 1% in mind for 100%. Condi Virtuoso benchmark 41k and people still running 8 Condi Mesmers for LCM? Yeah, because it's so safe. That's like the thing. It is the, why would you pick a crazy DPS build that dies after 5% because it's too hard to perform on? Why would you not pick something that is safer and in the end reaches a higher damage number and gets the boss kill than something that is just dying all the time? Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's how balancing should be, in my opinion. Change my mind on that. First of all, thank you very much for your guides on the build on easy rotation. It helps me a lot to enjoy the game because I have problems with my fingers. No problem, Mukala. That's what I'm doing my guides for. So no problem. Always happy to help. And way more to come. Thanks for the follows. Really appreciate it, by the way. Also, the main problem with horizontal progression is you need to provide so much more actual content instead of letting players gear grind on same bosses for weeks on end. ANET has tasked themselves with an impossibility, which is targeted towards long-term old players, focuses squarely on new, very casual players. Yeah, I think that's horizontal progression in a nutshell, makes it so that people burn out way easier because they don't have a, let's say, imaginary goal that they have to chase. Yeah, in games like Guild Wars 2, you have a sandbox game. And this is a problem for longevity of the long-term players, 100%. It would be really fun if the Revenant Elite spec legend was Joko and just listening to him insulting backseating gaming. To be honest, that's like a really cool idea. Some kind of Lich, Vampire, Revenant Elite spec, that sounds amazing. I like that idea a lot. WoW has like 50 to 60 raids that basically never used again, and countless dungeons. Yes, it's a big problem of vertical progression games that you have old stuff that no one does anymore. But the problem is, in Guild Wars 2, even though we don't have crazy vertical progression, we have horizontal progression with an asterisk, people still, for the most part, don't do dungeons. They still don't do like triple trouble every day. Yes, that's not the case anymore. You could do it. It's not like completely outscaled or not completely unplayable anymore so that you can do triple trouble alone. No, that's not the case. But people still don't do it for the most part because there's no incentives to go back. That's a problem. How can you fix that? I don't know. I do not care much about top DPS builds. More important is what I enjoy. Loved your Celestial Mirage healer DPS. That's exactly my cup of tea. That's how you should play the game. You should play the game how you like to play it. If you have fun, that's way more important than if you would play something that is someone says this is the top DPS, you have to play it, and you don't have any fun, you will quit the game in no time. So 100% with you there, 100%. Welcome EchoFox, welcome. Why does my Volt Prime die so much in Void? Probably because you have not modded it right. I would say, what can I say? Do you have any helmet ability yet? Because that's helping, I would say, to survive. Maybe get a stealth one, something like that. But maybe Warframe guides coming soon for you on my YouTube channel. I have some knowledge about Warframe as well. The Lich Revenant, exactly. That's what I really hope, that this last icon that we got from yesterday with the teeth, I really hope this will be the Vampire Lich Revenant Elite spec. Some kind of demon, some kind of, maybe you summon Choco as a legend. That would be amazing. I would love that. It would be amazing. Simple solution. Readjust the rewards. Yes and no. The problem is they are really worried about readjusting rewards to give more liquid gold. Yeah, because liquid gold will change the economy, and then we have inflation, we have problems that will come after that. So they are really worried about that, and right now the economy is really good in Guild Wars 2. So they have a big problem. And what can I say? I personally think the rewards should be unique enough so that you go back to the specific thing. Maybe you can get even some kind of specific legendary only from dungeons, only from world bosses. That would be really cool. Something like that people would really grind for. Yeah, I think that would be an easy fix without changing the content. Just adding some kind of new stuff that incentivizes people to go back, 100%. If you have to do every meta, every dungeon, every raid, every strike, every fractal weekly or daily, it would be a job and not a game. Doing fractal CMs plus T4s and strike daily already takes like 2 hours. Yeah, 100%. So the horizontal progression game has way more stuff that you could do, so you would always go for the stuff that's the most fun to you or the most profitable one. So that means you will already exclude, because of that, like over 90% of the game. And that's a problem. So how can you make that people spread out doing different stuff? You can only make that worth if the rewards are interesting enough and not only gold. And that's a little bit of a problem, because a lot of the old things in the game only provide some kind of gold value. So you will always go to the stuff that gives the most amount of gold. The only exception to that are meta events like auric basing, like tangled deaths, like death band, etc., where you have the chance of getting an infusion. People will go back to that because it's fun, and you have a very, very, very small chance of getting the prize, the big prize. So people go back to that. Go people back to triple trouble? No. The rewards are okay, but you don't have a chance of an infusion drop. So why would you go there? You don't have a big ticket item to go there. Even though it's fun, you get less rewards for going there than going for auric basing. That's the problem. That's the big problem, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I know the problem, EchoFox. I know the problem. Choco Revenant is one of very few specs I would convince to play other classes than Mesmer. I have to be honest, I really hope that will be the case, but I don't see it happening. I actually think it is a little bit more down to the ground, not spoilery, because you actually can, in my opinion, can only summon dead people, and that would be a little bit of a spoiler if you could summon that. But who knows? ANET is at this point completely unhinged. We never know. They reveal a new elite spec icon and it's just Coco loving. Lol, come on, ANET. This is just it's a gold mine. I agree. It's crazy. Yeah. Most not fun thing for me is Gift of Exploration, Gift of Battle. That's fair. That's fair. If you want to get a legendary, you just need it, or you buy the legendaries. That's just how it is. And I think that's okay. But I can totally see why you don't like the Gift of Exploration. I don't like it either. Yeah. I've been playing with Engineer for a week and enjoy it. Some learning curve, and any tips to get higher DPS, Power Scrapper Hammer. Consistently, I get 36k, sometimes 39k. I would say try on the Golem if you have the perfect gear. Just try to look at the rotation on Snowcrows and try to nail it. I will also do very soon a Power Scrapper guide, and just try to practice. Practice is the name of the game. That's just how you get better and higher DPS numbers, 100%. Add infusions to dungeons. Yeah, something like that, you know, could be. Some crazy rewards. I'm always up for adding some kind of counter. That if you did, for example, chuck Garant 1000 times and you didn't get the infusion, you get an account bound infusion to purchase from there. That would be amazing in my opinion. Hopefully that comes with the core feature rework. Copium. I hope that they will change that horizontal progression system in Guild Wars 3. I've played a lot of MMORPGs, and Guild Wars 2 has the worst loot experience. I don't even bother killing anything. Yeah, I think the looting experience in Guild Wars 2 feels a little bit boring. I want to have some... I want to get loot. I want to get loot that is small. I want to get loot that is some kind of middle item where I can say, oh, that's nice, I got 50 gold, you know, from this drop. And I want to have the chance of getting a big ticket item as well. So I think that's a little bit missing, that you have only a few events that give you a big ticket item, and most other things give you only small stuff. So yes, you get in the end, if you farm for 1 hour, you get a decent amount of gold. But you don't get ever some kind of dopamine rush if you see some crazy enemy to kill and you have a chance of dropping something cool. That's the problem. That's, in my opinion, a big problem. Welcome, welcome, Control, welcome, welcome. Well, that used to be exotic, but the exotic market crashed. Exotic used to be worth like 2 or 3 gold. Yes, I know. Precursors were the middle ground. And I was, back then, I was like a big investor in precursors and that kind of stuff. But I can tell you, this market is long gone. It's like completely useless now. It's like, it's so dead, it's crazy. With the starter kits and before that, with the raids and just how easy it is to get exotics nowadays, the market is completely saturated. No one actually is interested in exotics anymore. And that's a problem. You don't have any crazy, funny middle ground rewards where you can say, oh, that's nice. There are some. Sometimes I'm happy and get a 50 gold reward from Iceblood Saga strike missions. Yes, that happens. But it's one of the rare exceptions. Like every other content, you have either no chance of any crazy rewards, or you have a chance in 1 in a million or something like that, where you get a really high chance of getting nothing, and you get a very, very small chance of getting something that is decent. Yeah, that's just how the game goes, sadly. And I hope they actually improve on that. The only thing I actually want from the new release are 2 things, a tunnel and a meta. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. I hope Guild Wars 3 will have a class system like Final Fantasy 11, one character, you simply switch all classes on. I think you meant the Final Fantasy 14 because that's what they have it. Yes, I agree. I think that would be like the best feature, in my opinion, that they could put out in a new game. That you have like immense amount of classes, but all of them are on the same character. That is like one of the best things that Final Fantasy has, in my opinion. Because it's so fun to just have one character that you play all the time. And you can play all classes. I can switch to my Mesmer in an instant because right now Mesmer is in this situation the best. And then 5 minutes later, I can switch to my Guardian on the same character. Yes, amazing feature. I agree. Why did A8 ruin the exotic market? I think the problem is they did exactly what someone in chat pointed out earlier. They want to bring out new incentives to go back to do some content that we had before, like raids, like fractals, like all this stuff, and wanted to put out more loot that is worth going back. But if you put like exotics in every single reward structure, then of course the market will get oversupplied and this overall prices go down. Not to mention that exotics are not the best endgame gear anymore. So people are like thinking and saying, nah, why would I go for exotics on my character if I can also get my ascended gear? And ascended gear is way easier to come by now. So a lot of people just don't need the exotic gear anymore. That's the problem. Exotic got overshadowed while also getting oversupplied. That crashes the market. Just straight up. What do you think about some new level of equipment? Not legendary, something with higher status for more challenging content in the future maybe? That is a hot topic. I think they will never do that because Guild Wars 2 was always mentioned and marketed as a game without any gear grind. So that you get the gear ascended in the first week, 2-3 weeks of playing the game, and then you have forever the perfect best gear. If they would just add a new gear stat on top of that has more stats, that would just completely destroy their marketing. So I think they can't go back on that. Maybe in Guild Wars 3, but not in Guild Wars 2. It's okay. That I didn't know that. That's good. Final Fantasy has the same system, but Final Fantasy 11 is the original one. Okay, good to know. Sorry, I did not know that, and thanks for telling me something new. I learned something today. That's good. Also, chat, if you have emote suggestions, let me know. Yes, we are currently looking for new emotes. We have some really nice ones, but we have more to go. Yeah, Kek W is here. It's here. We got some the most used ones I think we have, but if you have some cool ideas, we're always happy to add more. Thanks for all the follows. Really appreciate it, by the way. Yeah, and I have to be honest, you know, one of the most fun things for me to do in Guild Wars 2 are two things. First of all, I like to debate the game, as you can clearly see. I like to talk about stuff while playing the game that I played for 10,000 hours. And I played like Auric Basin meta event for 300 times or even higher. Yeah, I don't care. If I can debate stuff and I'm engaged about, that's amazing. So that you can find on my YouTube channel as well. I have a lot of discussion videos there, so be sure to check that out. But the second part, of course, I like to have build crafting. And the problem is that I see if I would get like expansions like Soto, Chanter Wilds coming consistently, I don't get more build crafting. But with the recent balance patches of the reworks and the new elite specs coming, I have my hopes up that I actually enjoy the game for the next 2-3 years to come. Even if there's not enough content for me, I have crazy amounts of new build guides, new stuff to do. So I personally actually enjoy the new system. That doesn't mean you will enjoy it, but I think that's a healthy way to actually make it interesting to a lot of players. Debating the game instead of playing it? Yeah, I mean, tell me one content creator in Guild Wars 2 that is like currently not debating the game or speculating about the future. It's like really content creators for Guild Wars 2 are like currently the news is the only thing that is in their brain right now. No one actually talks and does some kind of like Sabbatha raid guide right now. Why would you do it? You know, you have so many cool news to talk about. That's the thing that's in your mind. So please bear with me if I don't do any like older content guides right now. They need to introduce ways to handle access ascended items. Salvaging it is actually a money loss. Some of them is worth it, for example rings, but you are right, most of them are not worth it to salvage, so you can just sell them to a trading vendor and you actually get 1 gold per weapon or something. Or you can keep it like I do for no special reason. Yes, so I think it would be interesting to give Ascended some value. But the problem is do you give it value without like giving you liquid gold back? Because that's the problem. If you introduce a lot of liquid gold into the game, the economy will crash. We get inflation. So making Ascended items should be giving you account value or some value that you can use only on your account. What could that be? I have no clue. Maybe Agony Infusions, something like that is bound to your account? Maybe? I have no clue. I really don't know. It should be something that everyone has access to and wants. So I really don't know what it is. It is quite crazy that I had to grind those legendaries in order to have fun, because I just want to try new stuff in PvP, open world and world versus world. Yeah, I think the legendary grind in Guild Wars 2 is one of the most likely things that players that reach level 80 and will stick to the game will actually do. Going for legendaries, that's like the most likely thing that people have as a long-term goal, and you can easily burn out with that. So I think there should be some other goal in the game as well, for sure. I would love to have new balance patches every week. Build crafting is the most fun. I agree, Nika. I fully agree. For me, build crafting, talking about balance, coming up with some new crazy builds, and like this one that I'm currently playing, but also others, it's the best thing about the whole game. So I wouldn't say one every week. I would probably be like full time on just making videos and stuff, and I wouldn't have any time to really play the game anymore. Yeah, but I think in general, like getting decent, high level, cool reworks every 1, 2, 3 months. That's how I would like it. So if I get a balance patch like the last one from the size with the reworks every 2, 3 months, I'm happy enough. I just hope they stick with this schedule and with also the amount of changes and the deepness, the depth of the changes, 100%. What build do you have at the moment on the Necro? This is a build I will release a build guide about this week. And for my channel members, it's already up. And it's a really, really good solo build where you camp the Shroud 100% of the time. It's like insane. You can stay in Shroud 100%. So if you want to see that right now, you have to become a channel member on my YouTube channel. But don't worry if you don't want to spend any money. Don't worry. We will put out the video this week as well for everyone to see. Yes, it is a really fun build. It's specifically crafted for solo gameplay, but you can of course also play it in a group. People keep Ascended items because it makes the Guild Wars 2 efficiency go higher. Yeah, I mean that is fair, but to be honest, like who cares? Do you get anything from that? It's just some number that goes up. I have a high number as well, but do I really care? Not really. It doesn't provide me with any like value in real life or wherever. I just keep it because I have the space. So why destroy it to get no value? Just keep it and get no value either way. I don't know. It's just I don't care. My way of keeping entertained and busy is to get more gold with legendaries. Yeah, fair. Absolutely fair. I think having one's goal for the sandbox game that Guild Wars 2 is, that's how you should play the game. 100%. 100%. People used it to flex all the time. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, people that need to flex with account value, to be honest, that's just, I have a high account value as well. Do I flex with it? No, because it just means I spend way too much time in game than in real life. That's just a fact. So why would I flex with something that just means don't have any hobby? You know, that's just weird to me. Such a weird statement. I suggest on forum that devs should get rid of the insane time gates like Draconis Mons hero achievements. That achievement almost made me quit the game. I think that's a problem. You know, time gates are such a common thing in MMOs. Because the devs want you to keep playing the game for a long time. If you could get it day one just by grinding really hard, you would quit 1 week after. If you have to play every day for the next month, you will play for a month. So what would the dev choose? Probably the thing where you keep playing for a month. Is it fair? No, but they will do it. I think it's hard. It's really hard to judge that. I lost so much when I trashed everything as soon as I had full armory, but I couldn't care less. Yeah, exactly. I think you should play the game as you want to play it. If you don't care for account value, Ascended stuff, sure. Get the space, get more storage. Empty it, sure. I think getting full legendary like I have, why would I care and save my Ascended stuff? Why would I care? I don't. But I could delete it, but I'm someone that likes to collect stuff. You know, I like to collect skins. I have like a very big skin collection because I like to collect stuff. So I also keep my stuff. But if you like to have the cleanest inventory possible, the highest amount of gold that you can get, just for legendaries or whatever you want, sure, salvage it, sell it, whatever. I think that's everyone should play the game as they wanted to play. That's my big point here, and I think that's everyone hopefully agrees with me there. What do you think is the new feature of the next expansion? They didn't tell us yet. I think the new feature is either just elite specs, which could be a very hot take that it's only elite specs as the new feature and that's it, or that the new elite spec is one of the big two features and the second big feature is an addition to the roller beetle. I think that is somewhat likely. Let me hydrate for a second. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I see the roller beetle getting some more love because currently it's a little bit like not really incentivizing a lot of players to get it, even though it's such an amazing mount. I think that would be really cool, but that's just my prediction, could be completely wrong. Once I get a stable ascended gear and getting sky scale, I will be full on spending all my gold to black lines and stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's very common, very common. Beehive mastery. Yeah. Thanks, Gigaman. Thanks. Could also be something for housing. Yeah, I think the housing, they said they want to extend on it. Do they want to like make it crazy in terms of new housing features? I think in the blog post they didn't mention it, but in the blog post they didn't mention anything in regards to housing that is like guaranteed to get more features or something. So I'm not 100% sure if we get a new feature and what. Oh my god, that is a nasty combo. Yeah, but I really don't know what we will actually get. My prediction is a roller beetle addition, not a rework, just an addition. But oh my god, the CC. Yeah, I don't know. Top 3 specs 101 in World vs. World. Probably Untamed, Catalyst, and Spear Harbinger. That's my take, probably. I wish they improved the LFG system like a queue. You put your role like healer, support, enter a queue, and when the strike mission is found, get a notify. Yeah, something like some kind of matchmaker. I think, to be honest, that might be a hot take, but I think that is a feature that should have been in the game since the beginning. And because it isn't, and they never added it, I think they don't have the technical capabilities of doing it. That might be a really hot take, but I think such a crazy good feature should have been in the game since the start. And if you don't add it after that, because it's still a very good feature, then it is telling me that it's probably not, that they are not capable of doing it, or at least not with their current development effort. That's my point. I would love it, don't get me wrong, I just don't see it, to be honest, coming with the next expansion. I see some small rework, yes, making it a little bit easier to use, but a crazy matchmaker, I don't see it. If you can steal one aspect from other MMOs to Guild Wars 2, what would it be? Mine would be Mythic Plus from World of Warcraft. Yeah, I think I would agree with you actually. Making, maybe not Mythic Plus in general, I think something like a mix of Mythic Plus, something like Delving, something like the Heaven on High dungeons in Final Fantasy, stuff like that, where you have unlimited amount of content, scalable content that you can farm 24/7 if you wanted to. Stuff like that is missing in Guild Wars 2, that you can either do solo or as a 5-person group or something like that. Content like that, in my opinion, should be in the game. It is not right now, and I'm not sure if we get it ever, to be honest. I think that would be my top 1 feature. Yeah, exactly. Something like maybe even infinitely scaling tier 5 fractals, maybe. But to be honest, I think this is too tryhard. I think that is not the way I would wish it to be. I think for Guild Wars 2 it has to be a bit more casual. So something that you can get a perfectly optimized subgroup. They don't care about it. So that's the thing that I would say is how 90% of the player base plays it without interacting too much with other players. And that means that making a content feature that is needed or requires you to actually do some crazy interaction with other players, I don't see that being healthy. So I think that's my analysis there. I thought that housing was in-game since the beginning. Home instance. I don't understand why they put this Chante Wild home instance version 2. Because it's a little bit, you can now decorate it. That's the big feature. You can make it your house, so to say. Before then, it was like really like you were just using it to get some gathering nodes. You could not really make it looking different. Yeah. EOD was so hyped for Guild Wars 2 there. There's a big resurgence in player base. I wonder what happened. It's just that they didn't push out enough content to keep most of the players interested again. That's really like the big problem. So, yeah. Yes, Nessie, I have a document there. You can just type !builds in the Twitch chat, and there is a full spreadsheet of all my builds. Yes, I have that. With all the links and all comments and up-to-date versions. That's really good. Thanks, Northrop. Yeah. If you have any comments on how to improve that, please let me know. I'm always open to suggestions, of course, as well. And it's not all builds are in there and it's all updated, but it's obviously not the final version. I can always tune and do stuff with it, so please let me know. But yeah, I think EOD was a big spike in players coming back to the game, getting into the game, but I think not a lot of players played the game at EOD launch and stick around until now. That's the problem. People played, had fun, but at some point quit the game again because it did not have the perfect balance, it didn't have the crazy amount of new content coming up. So there was always some issue in one way or the other why people didn't stick around. That's a problem. Guild Wars 2's content output is just too low to keep player that need to have like some kind of Mythic Plus experience, some raiding experience and stuff like that interested. That's just too low for that, and that's the problem. So you have to make it more into rewards, sandboxy game style, and then you can keep players interested. But even that they didn't do with Chante Wilds, in my opinion. So that's why the longevity of the game, in my opinion, is a little bit endangered. Yeah, that's just my take. In hindsight, would you rather ANET do big expansions instead of mini expansions? Yes, 100%. I think making 2-year or even higher cycles of how long you have to wait until an expansion is healthier for the game, because then the expansion drops are way more potent in terms of how many players you get back into the game. 100%. Look at if you get the crazy amounts of content that we got, for example, with Heart of Thorns, or the quality of it. 100%. Is it realistic nowadays that we would get that? Probably not, because the problem is, like I said earlier, I think a high number of current developers are working on something in the background, on some kind of unannounced project. And that's obviously always a big problem, because then you can't expect getting crazy big expansions anymore. I would agree 100%, bigger expansions, really good. Will it happen? Will it ever go back to it? No, not at all. We will get 1-yearly expansions that have probably even less content, just some features to make the game more replayable. Yes, 100%. Something just popped up in my chat box. New build available, requires the game to start in 2 hours. Yeah, I saw that as well. That just means they have some kind of hotfix or something. Yeah. I just tried heal Tempest in PvP and I suck hard. In which classes do you attune? In which cases do you attune into air fire? But you just spam water and earth? So in air you attune if you want to get CC. You have an unblockable CC with the static field, and you have a nice movement speed buff on the 4 and like some knockback when you can get, for example, the decap with the 3 skill. So air is your CC set. And in fire you only attune because of the 4 skill. The 4 skill to reposition to get faster around the map, that's why you attune to fire. All other than that, I would say you only attune to an element that you don't use the skills of to get the overload. That's really the only reason. But water, earth are way more potent than fire. Fire is just for repositioning, yes. Yeah, it's a hotfix, yeah, exactly. Hotfix for blackline chests, so no one cares. Or not that many people care. Would you scale back the amount of power creep the game has? Yes, 100%. I made a whole video about it, talking about that for 10 minutes, where I think power creep is getting out of hand right now. And I got offended like crazy in the comments. It was like insane to me, you know. I always asked for your opinion, but I did not expect people offending me for having such an like whole take that power creep is actually not good for the game. So yeah, what can I say? I mean, I did not expect it, and I'm not sure if I want to do a video like that again if I get offended by like crazy, toxic open world players. I don't know. I'm not happy with how crazy the boon output of supports are, how crazy the just amount of damage and the healing output is. I think the power creep, the feature creep especially, is insane. How much and a specific skill does nowadays to how much a skill did in the beginning of Guild Wars 2, that's just too much of a feature creep for me. I think that's not good. You want to have purity of purpose, but that's a completely different topic, and I think it's too much to talk about in like a classical video, but what can I say? I think the power creep in Guild Wars 2 is really high, and it's not always a good thing. Yeah, stand on your opinion. Yeah, exactly. I should do that, but I obviously I'm still doing that. You know, I'm just saying I don't want to get roasted by some randoms in the internet in the comments. That's just, I'm not doing content creation for being offended by people that don't know that much about the game. Let's go to Bluffs. I think that people should look at other games that are made by a couple of people and the amount of content they are able to put out. Guild Wars 2 is lacking a lot of content. Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at games that have only a very small amount of developers in the studio, it's actually insane how little amount of content we actually get right now in Guild Wars 2. I'm not saying that the content that we get, or especially the balance patches, I would say they're actually great. They are amazing. I would say better than ever. But the amount of content in terms of maps and just general releases is way less than we expected the game, and that's just because a high amount of developers rather, are actually working currently on something in the background. I'm pretty sure of that. Attack the streamer opinion. I can't play more than 1 hour per month with my 7 wives, 23 children and 5 jobs. Yeah, I mean, I'm always asking for people's opinions, and I'm completely happy if someone writes an opinion that I disagree with. But they are civilized about it. I don't care then. I'm actually really happy to see that, to get different opinions. But if someone is just writing a comment, has no clue what they are talking about, and is offending me for having an opinion that I expressed in a very civilized and just very, friendly, positive mindset way, and they are offending me like really drastically and saying I'm dumb, I don't know what I'm talking about, I should stop creating Guild Wars 2 content and whatever, then I'm just like, why do I even do content if people just are like not listening to what I'm saying? And even if they listen, they just don't, I don't know, it's really weird. I think, what can I say? It's just the internet in a nutshell, but I think the Guild Wars 2 casual community is actually toxically casual. That's the problem. A lot of them, at least, or some of them. Anyone who likes power creep is an ex-WoW loser. Power creep is always bad in all games, period. Give us more challenging content instead. Yeah, I think I would say there are arguments for both sides. And I think giving us only challenging content is also not the right way. But making power creep the only thing that keeps people interested in new patches is not a good thing either. So I think that's just my whole point. I don't think power creep is healthy for the game. That's my point. I think I was in that conversation of power creep, and I hope I haven't offended you. I don't think that I have said anything offensive to you. Just said power creep in other MMO RPGs is way worse. I didn't want to offend you there. Don't worry, Mr. Broken One. I was not talking about you specifically. Of course, if you say it in a civilized way, that's a completely, I like it when someone disagrees and gives a valid argument why they think in a different way. That's completely fine. But if I just get offended and say, this is stupid what you're talking about, stop doing videos, that doesn't help me. And that's just not healthy for anyone. So yeah, I think giving us an opinion that is different, completely fine. Giving us a toxic comment, that is not fine. Your opinion is a fact. People just want to be OP and face rolling everything. Yeah, sadly true. Sadly true. You just gotta get used to ignoring people like that. Yeah, that's true. I should do that. But I'm a very, how can I say? I like to talk to people and talk to them and let them express why they think like that. Because I'm someone, I don't have an opinion that is so rigid that I will never change it. If someone brings valid arguments, I might change my opinion. I'm standing above my opinion and say, okay, I can change it if necessary. If someone brings an argument that is like completely killing my whole opinion, sure, I change it. So I really want to listen to people, especially people that disagree with me. But if someone's just, the only argument is, you are stupid, that's not even an argument, So yeah, that's just, what can I say? That I'm just speechless to that. Yeah. Power creep is out of hand, exactly. Yeah, the YouTube comments under this was especially like crazy. I mean, I don't even know what they are thinking. You know, I'm doing low intensity builds and they are offending me that I don't, yeah, just like what Snowdrop writes here. That's not the case, of course, not at all. One class shouldn't be able to give every boon in the game, the Chrono? Yeah, 100%. I think, to be honest, in an ideal world, let's look at like, if every class, every one of the 9 classes that we currently have in the game, if each of those classes would have 1 heal spec, I think each of those heal spec in an ideal world, in ideal balancing, would have a specific role where you would say, this is the healer I want to use. So for example, Guardian could provide very good stability uptime. Chronomancer could provide really good, I don't know, CC. Revenant could provide a lot of deflect uptime, so projectile destruction. So that every spec, for example, Scourge could provide very good downstat resurrection. So that every healer has a specific, really good point where it shines. But it can't provide, for example, stability, reflect, resurrection, and whatever. I think it is really important to make specific niches be filled by specific builds and not make every build completely the same. But the problem is that ArenaNet has a big, like, fear of making classes too unique. They really took away a lot of their uniqueness, for example, with the resurrection in Scourge. But even before that, we had the unique buffs, for example, Spotter. Ranger gave you a 150 precision buff for your party. That made it so that a lot of people wanted to have 1 Ranger per party. Is that healthy for the game? Maybe not, but it was a unique thing, and now they took it away. Now every class feels very similar. That's not something that you want to have. Why did they leave? Ah, because it's the bugged one. That's okay. That's just my take. I think uniqueness, killing uniqueness just to get more, like, making it evenly spread, I think that's not a good thing. Yeah, I really think it is more healthy to have each class and build be interesting to play in a specific scenario. That is my whole argument there. Thanks for the Prime, really appreciate it. Oh, we are already at Draka, nice. Thanks for the Prime, really appreciate it. Also by the bot, really appreciate it as well. Thanks a lot for your support. What's the next best elite spec for Mesmer after Virtuoso? Getting bored and wanna try something new? I mean, it depends a bit. Virtuoso is really good as a DPS spec, of course. Chronomancer, in my opinion, is extremely strong as a support spec. And currently Mirage is, if you want to have a challenge and want to have a crazy good build right now, Mirage is the way to go. Mirage is insane in damage output and just really, really strong. But of course, it's not for everyone. So I think I personally would go for Chronomancer because Chronomancer can fill every role and is really good at it. But maybe I'm a little bit biased there. I think it has definitely the best healer right now. Thanks, Moni. I'm happy that you enjoy my videos. More to come, don't worry. Diversity is good, having to specialize is also good. Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, you want build crafting or general a game that has crazy good combat, where you have to think about what to choose is way more interesting than having a good combat where you always play the same build, the same setup in every scenario because it's just the best option. That's not good. You want to have some kind of thought put into your build and decision making. That is my maybe cold, maybe hot take, depending on who you asked. But I think build crafting, changing gear, and maybe not gear, but maybe utilities and traits, at least that is, in my opinion, something that should be in the game. If you have Chronomancer and only play one setup all the time, you can clear 99% of the content because it's so broken. Is that healthy? In my opinion, it is not. So, should they change it? Yes. Will they do it? Probably not. Probably they will buff every supporter to the level that Chronomancer is, and that's their fixing of the problem. Is that a good way to fix it? In my opinion, it would be better to nerf Chronomancer down and change the other healers to make it more niche and more useful in some scenarios, whereas not as useful in others. That's my take. What Mesmer spec would you recommend for solo open world? If you want a very easy one, I would go for Mirage. If you want a very like crazy good one, but a little bit more like brain on, then I would recommend going for Chronomancer. I have build guides about all of them on my YouTube channel, you can check them out. And I have a power and a Condi build for Mirage and Chronomancer, so I would recommend the Condi versions for both of them, they are just a little bit stronger. There are not enough guides. Variation of each profession are indicated. For example, Ranger can be melee power, full range power, poison Condi, and so on, taking into account different game modes. Now I can't choose the most variable specs. With the maximum of number of builds, I have Ranger, Guardian, and Necromancer, and it's very difficult for me to play 3 at once. I want to love one. Any advice? Oh, that's a tough choice. I mean, you should always go for the one that you enjoy. If you enjoy playing DPS, I personally think Reaper is really good as a Necromancer spec, power or Condi, whatever you like. Willbender is, in my opinion, a very good DPS spec, or Soul Beast is very good. So for each class, I can give you one thing, but it's really hard, you know. Go for the one that you enjoy playing, enjoy the playstyle of, the look of, and go for that one. I think all of the DPS specs, especially, are very similar in terms of output. I have a DPS tier list. You can watch that on my YouTube channel, where I can give you some more intake and why this is good in this situation, why it's not good. But in the end, Guild Wars 2 PvE is balanced in a way that you don't have any like crazy builds that you have to play. Every single elite spec, even the core classes, can be played perfectly fine. You just choose a build, have fun with it, and try to get better at it. That's my advice. Especially with how easy it is to get other classes up to speed, being able to specialize should be the end goal, not to homogenize everything. Yeah, that is my take as a veteran as well, especially if you want to incentivize getting people legendary stuff. Because if everything is perfectly fine, why would you switch your class if you have one class already as ascended here? Yeah. So I think in the interest of longevity, it's always better to make classes a little bit more interesting to switch and match, because then you are way more incentivized to go for the long grind of legendaries, 100%. Yeah, I would probably say Reaper, Soul Beast, and Harbinger. Reaper, Soul Beast, and Soul Willbender. Those three I would say are my top picks. In each of those I would play Power first, because Power is always better in like 90% of the cases. What specs do you think need nerfs? I mean, Mirage needs a damage nerf. All my crazy DPS specs, like I would say Catalyst, Tempest, Bladesworn, they need a damage nerf if on the DPS builds. I think Chronomancer, probably Scourge, Firebrand need a nerf as well in terms of support. What else needs a nerf? I mean, Catalyst for sure as a support as well. There are so many specs that are just overperforming and they will not nerf it. That's just a fact. They will not nerf it anymore. So I can give you my ideas why I think they should nerf this in this class, but it's just highly theoretical. They will never change it. Yeah, that's the sad part. I feel like there aren't enough guides on the actual profession. Most seem to focus solely on a single build. You mean how to play a Necromancer or something like that? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to make a guide about it, but people would not look for something like that classically. People always look for how to play a Power Reaper and wouldn't look for how to play Necromancer, because Necromancer plays quite differently depending on the elite spec. So if you play a Harbinger, it plays completely different than if you play a Scourge. That's just the name of the game. Did you see the leaked picture already today? I guess you are with the elite specialization for World could be true. Yeah, I saw that and I'm pretty happy about my prediction earlier. I think like Paragon for Warrior is quite likely, whereas Ritualist is like almost a given for Necromancer. So yeah, looks like I was somewhat right with my prediction, yeah. Open world, no downstate week would be content. Yeah, then I would be like, I would be doing a lot of open world in that week just to watch and see some nice safari action, 100%. 100%. Not just how to play, how to build a Necromancer, what the trade lines can do, etc. I have something like that. I have a specific for example, Necromancer, for Guardian, for all the classes. I have one video for each where I talk about the weapons. And I want to continue this series with all trade lines. talking about all the trade lines, when you would choose them, when you would build them. I have that on my YouTube channel. And it's a really, people that watched it really enjoyed the series. So I really want to continue with that because it's a really interesting series, especially for new players, if you want to do your own build crafting, 100%. So currently it's only all the weapons that I analyzed, but there will be all the trade lines and maybe even all the profession mechanics if that's also something that is interesting to you. So yeah, I'm working on that, but like I said, my to-do list is so long, I have so much stuff to do. So let's hope I get to it rather soon than later. When it comes down to legendary items, I think that they are lacking in the prestige like in World of Warcraft. Like when I see somebody with Ashbringer in World of Warcraft, they feel different. Yeah, I mean, prestige in Guild Wars 2, I mean, what can I say? This is something that is just a problem since the beginning of the game. Prestige is just not really existing in the game. That's for the better and the worse. It's just true. Will they ever change it? Probably not. Guild Wars 2 is a casual game. If you want to have some crazy prestige and stuff, then probably go to some games that are more like focused towards players like you. That's just the sad truth. You don't want to make a game that is casual in its audience, but make it really hardcore in its rewards. That's not gonna work out. That's just not gonna work. So I can see your argument, but that will not change for Guild Wars 2. More content. Yes, more content to come. Don't worry. Way more content to come. Elementalist DPS Guide says that you should use Conjure Fiery Greatsword for burst. How do you use it? Are you supposed to use all the abilities for 30 seconds or drop it instantly? So the idea of Fire Greatsword, I can show it to you, give me a second, is always if you play a DPS build on Elementalist where you are not playing a Condi build, typically you want to use your Fiery Greatsword in a way that you cast it in the beginning of a burst phase and you cast the Firestorm. And if you, for whatever reason, standing next to a wall or in fractals, you could do that. You can use the 3 skill against the wall as well, and then you drop out of it again. That's how you would use it. If you are in a like raid encounter, the only thing that you would do is just using the 5 skill and instantly dropping out again. That's it. The Fire Greatsword is not really providing crazy amounts of value. It is a damage increase on some power builds. That's it. So that's how you would use it. Monthly gizmos carry the PayPal prestige? Yeah, sadly that's true. That's the whole reason why the 10 tryhard PvPers are still around, 5 on each server, because they actually have some money income because of that. That's just sadly the truth here. Sadly the truth. Okay, let's do some Iceblood Saga strike missions on Heal Warrior. I told you that's what we're gonna do today. Oh, I guess I just joined. Yeah, so I will showcase this to you. This build is underrated, and yes, it might not be as broken as Chronomancer, but you will see it has strengths that are actually similar to Chronomancer, and I can easily heal, solo heal even, on Bone Skinner. This is like insane, really good build. So I just want to showcase that here. And as always, if you have any questions, any comments, any feedback, please let me know. Always happy to talk to you about that. So what can we do? We just wait until we get enough people. Cash, that's like insane. I do Iceblood Saga strike missions every day, and the first 4 people getting the supports takes like 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the time of the day. And then getting the DPS takes like 1 minute or less. It's insane. People, like always, want to get DPS role. I don't even know why. I think if you play a support role, you can carry harder, but people just want to see DPS numbers, I guess. That's just, I don't know. What can I say? Is there any good open world Elementalist spear build? I would say most of my open world builds for Elementalist, you can easily slot in a spear. It would downgrade this DPS of it, but it would be okay. The problem is Elementalist spear is clearly a power-based weapon. So if you want to have an open world build that is also good at surviving, you typically would take Celestial, which is Condi favored. Why would you take a spear in a Condi build? You wouldn't. So the problem is, if you go for spear on an open world build on Elementalist, you have a problem of, so to say, surviving while you want to deal DPS on the spear. That's the problem. So I would say play the full raiding build, maybe swap in some marauder pieces if you can't survive, but you are still really struggling to get the boons and stuff. Spear is just made for some DPS elementalist. You can't play that as some kind of solo build or open world build in the best way. That's just my take. I think Scepter, Hammer, there are so many weapons that are just better suited for that kind of playstyle. Sadly. I want to heal strikes, I'm just too nervous. I mean, don't worry. You will get in there, you will have fun, and what can I say? You just have to try it out. Start with a build that you are the most comfortable with, and you will have no problems, especially in the Iceblood Saga 5-strike mission. They are so easy. Don't worry, really, don't worry. Just try it out. I got from everybody quite a doomy and gloomy impression that PvP was dead and toxic, but your videos motivate me to try, and I found that Conquest is super fun, toxicity tolerable, and actually many players playing. Yeah, I think that a lot of veterans say PvP is dead, but if you are starting out the game and if you want to just have fun in PvP, the casual community in PvP is actually very much alive. It's just the tryhard community that is dead. Like, if you want to go for crazy, like, competitive gameplay, that's not the game for you. But if you just want to have fun in the game, play Conquest for whatever reason that you enjoy it, sure, go for it. I play at least one match of PvP every day because I like it. Does it mean it's like very competitive? No, not at all. But you can have fun, 100%. So I'm happy that I could motivate you to play PvP. Yeah. What are the speculations? So the speculations are not really about the elite specs because those are like not really hot takes. It's quite clear that we get Ritualist and Paragon on top of the other ones that we already saw, the icons. But the speculations are more about how will the future progress. So what did they say to us in this blog post? Because let me summarize my realistic, but also somewhat like, I wouldn't say doomer, but somewhat like realistic, just realistic take. I think they will put out the elite specs and make this the main selling feature of the expansion. We don't get crazy amounts of content, but we get decently really nice feature reworks, like LFG system, like combining raids and strikes. That would be really cool. 1 second. Yeah, so there is definitely crazy speculation what we will get there because they didn't tell us explicitly what we will get. One of the interesting parts that they also didn't tell us if we get a raid, a strike, or fractal or convergence. They didn't tell us anything. So does that mean we will not get any of those? No, there will be something. But what it will be, we don't know. Maybe it's one thing that is like the Decima boss that is in all 4 content types included, but it will be the same boss, just different challenges and player numbers. That would be interesting. We will see, that's my speculations. I love how chill you seem and how casually you explain everything. It is complete opposite to what I'm encountering in PvP world versus world and raid lobbies with random people. Yeah, I try my best to actually make it so that people actually are interested in the game, have fun, and I can explain it to them. You should never be scared of playing Guild Wars 2 and getting into new game mode. That's what I want to like get across. Really, I hope I can achieve that. But I'm weird and I find playing DPS stressful. Yeah, I mean, I personally think if you play a healing build very well, then it feels very like brain off. But if I play a DPS build that I'm very new to, then I have to concentrate as well. So I can understand your argument there. Yeah, but the speculations that I already mentioned, Mr. Sly. I think the speculations for me are that they are really putting out only one raid thing that is like used in convergences, maybe even in fractals as well, in the open world maybe as well. And that's the whole thing what they put out with like PvE endgame content. But they will put out a lot of features like LFG reworks, like putting together a lot of currency. That is my prediction. That is the main feature that we will get in the first 6 months of the expansion with the elite specs together. There will be not crazy amounts of content, story, map-wise. No, that will not be existing. It's all about the features. This will sell the expansion that will not keep the people that are interested in crazy try-hard content. That will not happen. So that's just my prediction there. Does that mean it's true? No. Let me know your takes, of course, as well. Do you think Reaper, Dagger or Warhorn is better offhand for PvP? So if you don't have Torch on a Condi Reaper, I think I would probably go for Warhorn because Dagger is too slow. But Torch is quite a step up. I think Torch is really, really good on Condi Reaper in PvP. I don't know about how much DPS I'm doing, but I found DPS Catalyst with Beers pretty fine. Boon-wise, I got 100% quickness uptime with it and always have Might, Fury, Regen, and a little Alacrity while switching element. Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. I mean, if you have fun with it, perfect. I'm just saying if you want to solo like bounties and stuff with it, I think that might be a little bit more challenging than if you would go for some kind of Hammer Catalyst or if you would go for Scepter Tempest. That's just my prediction. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't do it. Maybe you're a god gamer and can do it. Other than elite specs, all will get the other quality of life LHG reworks, so I wouldn't call it that incentive to buy the new expansion. That is a fair take, but I think that's my position here is that getting new elite specs is the biggest selling point of all expansions. So why did Soto and Chance Wilds sell less than Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, and EOD? Because they didn't have elite specs. So now with the next expansion we get less content, but we get elite specs. I predict they will sell more because of the brokenness of the new elite specs. That's just my take. They will get Ritualist, people will get Paragon, people will probably even get the Dervish. So people will come back and purchase the expansion just for the elite specs, even though the content amount is not that good. Is that a bad thing to do as a gaming company? Maybe. Is it reasonable? For sure, if they're currently working on something in the background. 100%. Just my take. My prediction on that. I hope that they will do something about that LHG. Yeah, I think that is something that a lot of people want. Let's see how much effort they want to put in. I think some kind of matchmaker would be amazing. I think that will not come though. I think they will put out content that is way safer and way guaranteed to get people to play the game mode and have fun there. But it will not be crazy time investments like making sure that people get into raids within a minute. I think that is not very likely. They just want to make it less convoluted. And is that a bad thing? No, but it would be even better if we could get crazy amounts of some kind of duty finder like in Final Fantasy or something like that. That would be amazing. Maybe even duty roulette, that would be amazing content, like getting some kind of mentor roulette if people played Final Fantasy. That would be crazy cool. I would love that to just randomly join. I don't know what kind of content I will get, but I know it will be content for my stream, that I maybe join a Valguardian training group, that I in the next join a Harvest Temple group. That would be really fun to me. Will that happen? I don't know. But it sounds very fun to me. What do you think about Elementalist specs focusing on one element, say Gravity, you're bound to the Gravity element? That sounds really cool. Will that happen? Maybe. I think it's more likely that we get some kind of arcane element player, Elementalist, that is focused on getting a fifth element and trying to power it up like some kind of Celestial Avatar and Druid. I think that's more likely, like some kind of Arcanist. I would love that possibility of getting one element to overpower it. Sure, could be. But I don't really see it happening. I think Elementalist needs the 4 elements to play perfectly, and I think taking them 3 away, it's just not balanceable, to be honest, to make it good enough. I recently watched your solo tier list without Soto. Would you put Guardian specs if you have Soto? I have. So thanks, by the way, for your support. Really appreciate it, by the bot. Really, really nice. I would say Guardian is, with the exception of Dragon Hunter, one of the best solo specs. Firebrand is decent, I would say A tier. Willbender is S tier for me. Dragon Hunter is B- tier, I think it's not that good in solo. And Core Guardian is A tier. So I think that's just my very short summary there for you. But I will have a very soon I will have a new solo tier list because some stuff changed actually. So be sure to watch and subscribe on my YouTube channel for that, guys. And then we will do a tier list there very soon. Yeah, Mentor Roulette would be insane content. Will they ever include it? No, not at all. It would be so fun. I would be absolutely loving that stuff. Would it happen? No. But I mean, you can dream. A guy can dream. Welcome, Kaski. Welcome. We got a new blog post about what will come in the future of Guild Wars 2, and they confirmed that we get elite specs. And yeah, what can I say? We also confirmed that there will be not as much content as we got with the Chante Wilds one, which was already quite little, and now we will get less content, but they will put out some core feature updates. For example, push game mode will come out out of the beta test on end of August or something like that. So yeah, will be very interesting. In early August, we get the last beta event, and then that's it. So yeah, very interesting. Question: I'm a ranger untamed main and mainly use self-sustained solo builds because of lack of friends. I took a 6-month break and looking if something changed or if I could use it better now. I'm currently using power untamed, mace, hammer, but I don't know if anything will be better. Condi, in my opinion, is now better than power untamed, in my opinion, after the patch. But power is still playable. So I have a guide for both of them on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. You can just type !builds in the chat. I have a spreadsheet for all my builds there, and you will find both solo untamed there as well. And you will have a lot of fun with both of them. Just check them out. Really amazing. Don't worry. I'm always happy to have some content for you. So even if you are not a native speaker, that's completely fine. I'm also not a native speaker, as you can clearly hear by my accent. Don't worry. If they could make that, you can search for groups that have an empty slot for elec heal or quick heal DPS. That would be awesome. Yes, that would be, but I think that's way harder to implement it than in a lot of other games. In a lot of games, that's just tank, DPS, healer, and that's really easy to implement. In Guild Wars 2, you have way more roles, and it's actually somewhat hard to fill all the roles just by some kind of automatic matchmaker. So I don't see that happening. I don't see it, but it would be amazing. Playing untamed without hammer is criminal. Your English actually really good, better than some native speakers I've met. I mean, I, so to say, train my English by speaking all the time on my streams and mostly in my real life as well on just talking English. But of course, I'm still improving. My accent is clearly visible, or audible, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm still trying to improve. So all feedback, positive and negative, just civilized feedback is always appreciated. Power untamed is fine for 99% of the game. Condi is just slow unless you solo raid bosses. Yes, good point. Power builds in open world are always superior if you don't do really hard stuff. If you do really hard stuff, a lot of times the Condi build is the safer option. So in most cases, the power build, especially untamed, easy S tier. But in some cases, I would say the Condi build, if you want to be really safe, just brain off, kill the boss without dodging any attacks, the Condi build will be the better pick. Just have fun, play the build that is better suited for your playstyle, 100%. I'm from Germany. German speaking English always sounds better than English speakers speaking German. I mean, that's not too challenging. I think everyone that is not a native German sounds quite bad. There are some exceptions, some really talented people speaking German, even if it's not their native language and are speaking it quite well. But German is really not a language that you want to learn as a not native speaker. Just straight up. It's not something that a lot of people actually enjoy learning, for sure. So let's concentrate here. Oh my god, you already lost someone. That's good, very good. What's your first language? Yeah, it's German. It's German. No, we didn't get the CC. Yeah, that's no problem. I'm really happy to have different kinds of people here, especially if it's from all around the world. I'm always happy to have that. I don't want to have a chat where only people from a very small amount of region area. That's not what we want. We want to have a worldwide community playing Guild Wars 2. That's all happy and friendly all together. That's what we want. I'm not some kind of crazy, always positive guy, but this is something that I want to have in my chat. Be civilized about it, have fun, even if you're not a native speaker. Just you're welcome here, don't worry. Yeah, perfect start. Yeah, perfect start is always people are going for instant kill. Instant die on the first attack. That's the perfect start, so they can just watch the boss and learn their attack pattern. That's the whole idea. Ooh, that was a greedy block, but it worked. When my brother went to college in the 60s, he was told he had to study either German or Russian. Since he was in technology major, Yeah, that was back in the day, like that was like the languages that you had to learn for sure. Does it mean it's nowadays the same? No, I would say you either learn English or Chinese or Spanish. Those 3 languages probably would be the ones that I would recommend learning to get the most amount of people and the most amount of like access in the world. But German is not in there. That much is for sure. Is Celestial best choice overall till I get legendaries? I mean, it depends what kind of content you do. If you play open world, Celestial is amazing. If you play instance content, some of it is really good, but you will struggle on some classes more than others, and you don't want to use it in raids if you don't want to tank. So I would say in open world, perfectly playable, really good, play Celestial. In instance contents, not so much, but you will get probably some kind of gist if you watch some guides on YouTube, maybe on my channel, or just in general ask here around what kind of build you want to play. Then you will find some build that is using Celestial as well. How's the job market for student with minimal German, saying A2, like a job just to cover rent in daily life while studying, of course? Get any idea? I'm sorry, I'm sick. I don't have any idea about that. I'm not into like job markets currently. I don't have any clue how the job market is looking. And, you know, my main concern besides my job is currently making content for you. So what can I say? Sorry if you mentioned this already, but I'm bored of doing fractals repetitively. How difficult are strike missions, and can I just use LFG for that? Yes. So like all strike missions, especially the normal modes, but even the challenge modes, I would say are to some extent even easier than fractals. So if you already do tier 4 fractals, especially if you do challenge modes and fractals, it's very easy to get into fractals, into strike missions. They are really, really easy to get into, especially the Iceblood Saga ones. You don't even have to watch a guide, just play them and you will be fine for the most part. And if you watch a guide before, it's even better. Don't worry, just get in, have fun, and you will learn slowly over time. And I do them every day. They are really fun to do and always an experience in PUCs, in the LFG, but it will, like in 99% the cases, will work out perfectly fine. Thanks, Heavenfire. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Sorry that you are only here to say to go to bed. Thanks for the follow, for the sub. Really appreciate it. Yeah, good that you watched the video and now you're hyped. That was my whole intention of the whole like blog post video, to hype up people, because I think it is a good thing for the game that we got this blog post. 100%. 100%. So I'm happy about that. 100%. Yeah. The best build is the one you enjoy, that uses hammer. Yeah, I would say personally play the build that you enjoy, but of course some weapons are way better suited to some specific playstyles. So if you want to play a Condi Untamed, I would not use a hammer. But if you want to play a Power Untamed, I think hammer is a very solid choice, even though I think maces are the safer choice. So you could play hammer, mace, but still, you know, my argument still stands. I think Guild Wars 2, especially in PvE, but actually in all game modes, you will have so much fun by playing the game mode that you enjoy with the build that you enjoy. It's way more important than playing some kind of overpowered broken builds just because they are overpowered. Yes, you could have fun with that as well. Just saying, it's way more important that you have actually players and people playing that have fun playing a specific build, because those will stay around for way longer than if you would have someone that just plays a build currently because it's meta. This is not what you actually want to have in the game, at least in my opinion. Celestial Elect Spectre feels amazing now in instance content. Yeah, I think Spectre in general got like so giga buffed with the last balance patch. It's, in my opinion, really, really good. You should definitely, if you're a Thief enjoyer and want to support, that's what you should try out for sure. Is it like the easiest to play? I wouldn't say so, but it's also not the hardest. So definitely like give it a try. Have fun with it. You will probably enjoy it. Necrohammer when? I think we will not get any new weapons in the foreseeable future. I really think they are like done with the weapons. I think the most likely scenario is that we will get, this time we get new elite specs, and with the next expansion, if there will be a next one, we might get even more elite specs. I really don't see them adding new weapons, because the weapon space, the niches are just not there anymore. As soon as we add new weapons, for example, Necromancer is a good example. If you add a new power weapon, yeah, add a new power weapon to it, you would compete with the power weapon against specs or against the power weapon that already exists. So greatsword, spear, axe, dagger, all of those weapons are power based. So if the hammer would be a power based weapon, what would be the niche of it? I don't know. It needed to be power grabbed like crazy so that people would play it. So I personally think elite specs are way more interesting in terms of content design and just making players interested, because you can make a new touch of the system without making it absolutely necessary to be power grabbed so that people play it. So I think that's my prediction there. Is healing power a critical stat for healers? Could you carry a group in Fractals with Celestial DPS healing hybrid? Yes. Celestial is a very good alternative to full healing builds, but if you want to be a crazy healer, like I just out-healed Bone Skinner healing and stuff, oftentimes Celestial is not good enough, not always, but often. So that means if you want to be a crazy full heal support, sometimes healing is necessary and you need a lot of healing power, but only then. Not a lot of bosses actually do that. Bone Skinner is one example, but others as well. But you could even go for... What? We did that already. Yeah, so I would say most cases, like 80% of the fights, you can go and play, if you play well, with a Celestial build. Yes. I wish that Rangers would get new ranged weapon options. Please, Mr. Dev, may I have a rival? I with you, Gale. I think making longbow viable would be a first step of doing so, but... Okay, there we go. New trick, going for the spirit shards thing. Oh, it's so good. If you don't get the pop-up, just press on the spirit shard thing and you actually get the pop-up again. It's such a weird interaction, but it works. Yeah, so I think longbow ranger, a lot of people ask for that, so hopefully we get some buffs there. I think we will not get a rival. We are pretty sure we don't get a new weapon with the new expansion, so you have to wait at least 1.5 years for that. So maybe we will get it then. Tell that to the brick in LFG. I was playing Unload Thief, easily doing 30k DPS in CM Fractals, but was kicked because I'm playing a one-button spec. I mean, come on, that's so toxic. Why would people do that? Those people destroy the community. You know, those bad apples. I don't get it. I really don't. You know, because you would probably out DPS like 50, or like all my squad here in terms of DPS, except me if I play the DPS build. It's like insane. Why people kick you for playing as some kind of spec? It's insane. I don't know. This is just weird. What can I say? Yeah, Condi Necrohammer. I mean, that would be, of course, interesting, but again, you have the same problem for Condi. If you play Condi weapons on Necromancer, you play either Scepter, you play Pistol, or you play... What would you play as well? That was close. What else would you play? Probably one of those two. And then you would have to compete against those because they are really, really good. Yes, you could easily drop one of them and play Hammer. Would that make it like guaranteed that it's better? No. But I think Condi options are like not as like too many of them around than Power. But I think you still have the problem that I think a new weapon always competes against a weapon that already exists, that has some kind of just existing niche that it's already filled. So why would I play a different weapon? I agree, it would be cool to have all the weapons on all specs. Is it realistic? I don't see it, to be honest. I think it's way more realistic that we get new weapons maybe in 2 years, but I think elite specs are way better to just making the game more fun and more interesting. At least it's my opinion. I don't believe every new weapon has to be better personally. I used to sword, spear. Yeah, I get your point. I'm just saying, I think you want to sell the new weapon, and if it's just some kind of upgrade to another weapon, I think that's not healthy for the game. I'm just saying that. Not saying that it's not possible. And I totally get your point. I like to play different weapons as well. If it's only for the skins, if it's for the gameplay, sure, I want to play different builds, 100%. But I'm just saying, I think it's better for the health of the game to give us more alternatives that fill different niches than having like 5 different things fill the same niche. That's not healthy. I think it would be easier for a new weapon to arrive. If an existing weapon gets a meaningful change, half the players will love a revamp and the other half will hate the change. Yeah, it's always the problem. It's always a big problem that if you revamp something that already exists, it's always like some people are happy, like the transfusion chains on Necromancer. Some people really like that they can play Staff on a heal Necromancer now. And some people say, oh, I wanted to be the resurrection guy. So now I can't be that anymore, or not that much anymore. So that's mean. So why take that away from me. So yeah, I totally see that. And that's why a new weapon is way easier for the balance devs to say, yeah, but that's the new weapon. That's what you get. And people will be happy because they get something new. Nothing old will change. Is that like healthy for the game? Not necessarily, because there's some feature creep, power creep coming with all new weapons. Yes. That's just how the game goes. That's just how it goes. Would I change it? Would I make it different? Yeah, but I'm not a dev. So what can I say? What can I say? I got kicked out of a raid training because I was running full Ascended and they required to have full Legendary. I don't... What? No way that was happening. That can't be true. Maybe you had some I don't know. Maybe you were different. I can't see. What the fuck? It's not necessary to have Ascended, or you don't even need Ascended. So why would you kick someone that doesn't have full Legendary? That's weird. I don't see that. That's crazy. No way. I mean, that's too toxic for Guild Wars 2. That can't. I don't see that. Even for Guild Wars 2, I don't see that. That there had to be some underlying other issue, to be honest. How can ANET balance the game with so many specs and classes? They can't. That's my hot take. They can't. And in PvE, they don't care. And in competitive modes, at this point, they don't care too much either. So I think it's just like they want to have the players that have fun. Does that matter in the end, that we have crazy elite specs and that they are not balanced in a correct way? Yeah, I mean, it might matter to some, but in the end, if you have fun, that's way more important. So I think it's way more likely. Nice, I got an achievement. It's the only achievement for Soto that I don't have the staff on Warrior, because I was not able to grind it in Fractals that much. Maybe now is the time. Yeah, but yeah, what can I say? This is my thing here. Full Legendary raid training. Yeah, only with the raid Legendary armor, obviously. You know, that's the only thing that you require. Do you plan to update the open world Blade Sun? Waiting for it because you mentioned it in the Mistborn relic. Better for this? Yes, I probably didn't. So I already have one. No, I have 1 or 2 open world builds planned before that. So probably in like 1.5 weeks or something. So sorry that it takes a while, but I already have like insane amount of things planned. So it planned ahead. So 1.5, 2 weeks, something like that. Yeah, it will come out. Don't worry. Doing exploration dungeons, 100 plus LI? That's insane. What are people asking for? That's just, you know, I mean, at this point, they should rework the LFG to have some kind of experience system so that people just can get people that are experienced, but that's it. I don't know. It's just at this point, just don't join the group. Create your own group. You will be more happy about it. Potential new LFG UI has me hyped. Yeah, I think that will be amazing. I agree. If that would be really good and really well done, yes, I liked it perfectly. It was 4 years ago. Now I have full Legendary, but they were the top rating group. I meant they are still. Okay, I don't know. I just, what can I say? I would not join a group that kicks you for stuff like that. You know, you want to have a nice and friendly group, and if you're really in a training, then they should, you know, even exotic is fine for raids. So I don't really get it at this point. 30k KP for 96 CM training. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, good one. Yeah, I don't see that, to be honest. I think I agree with you, Coco. That has to be a meme. I really don't see that. There are some clueless toxic folks around. Like when we wanted to learn strikes, we said we needed a coach. A guy joined but dumped us when we didn't know the content. I mean, reading is really hard, especially in games. It's like really hard. You know, I open and like typically I create my own squads for Iceblood Saga. I always look for supports first. So I write Boon DPS, Boon heal, yeah? And then someone joins and writes high DPS. You know, to be honest, just by someone writing that, I should instantly kick them because they failed the most basic check of reading the LFG announcement, the advertisement. So, in my opinion, reading is apparently too hard for a lot of people in the game. I know there are some people that can't read, but they wouldn't play a PC game. So everyone that plays a PC game is actually capable of reading. So if you can't read and join an advertised group for something different, hey, come on, please, just read. That's the only thing. Please read. So where do I have to go? Fire. I wrote it after hearing about that other guy getting picked. Ah, okay, that's what he meant. So now we can get some boons going. High DPS, if I ever make my own groups, LFG, stress, I just want 20k DPS at least. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Guild Wars 2, I think that's true for all games, but I think in Guild Wars 2 it's even more true so. That having high DPS in your squad makes the content not only faster, but it also makes it easier. So if you are looking to get a kill as a healer on, for example, Bone Skinner, and you never healed on Bone Skinner before, you will have a way easier time if you have crazy DPS players, even if they are not doing the mechanics correctly, just because, and that's the important part, because the fight will take less time, there is less time to fuck up, and that will just be less time for you to actually do mistakes that will result in a wipe. And of course, this is a very important statement, and I think that makes sense to ask for decent players. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? That's just, you will not get that in PUCs anyway. You will not get decent DPS players. There will be like 1 or 2 maybe, but you will not get 6 DPS players that are insane in terms of DPS output. Yeah, it's fine to expect people. Yeah, exactly. Jomek is ahead in 2 hands and Primordus is only ahead. Yeah, the bosses are interesting designed, for sure. They can read the Iceblood Saga 5 plus DS part. Everything after that is completely unreadable. Yeah, exactly. You know, they saw, oh, this is the group. You know, they do the content that I want to do. I have to join it. You know, they completely, I have a hot take, but here I would say they are the toxic people. Not me as the commander that kicks them, but they are the toxic people for joining a group even though they know I'm not looking for them. That's toxic, yeah? Because that leads to not very nice behavior. That's the problem, yeah, for sure. I learned Heal Scourge on Bone Skinner. Yeah, exactly. Heal Scourge is like one of the best places to learn Heal Scourge was on Bone Skinner. Sadly, it's not anymore. It's just very good, a very generic healer, but it's not really good at reviving anymore. It's decent, but it's not like absolutely insane. I have a question about Warrior. I wanted to play heavy armor class, but not sure which one to play. I mean, you should go for the one that you enjoy. You can check out my class guide. I have a class showcase of all elite specs, so maybe that can help you. But you can give me more information what you like to play. Do you like PvE? Do you like to play support? And then I can give you more of a detailed answer there. I find it crazy that a lot of PUC you find who play DPS can't play DPS. Yeah, of course, that's a problem. That's a big problem. A lot of people join as a DPS but don't even know how to actually do the rotation correctly. 100%. What is current state of Warrior for PvE? Warrior is, I would say, in a state where it's very good, but underrated, and it fills niches where a lot of other classes are even better. So that's the problem. Look at my build right now. It's absolutely insane how much healing, how much boons I output. It's insane. It really is. But the problem is, Chronomancer is just a little bit better, and that's why everyone plays Chronomancer. Does it mean Warrior is bad? No, not at all. All Warrior specs are actually in a very healthy spot in my opinion. The problem is, other specs exist that might have a little bit more utility. Just a little bit. And that's obviously not what you want. That you have a spec that is just a little bit overshadowed. Doesn't mean it's bad, don't worry. Play Warrior if you like it, have fun, you will succeed in all encounters. Don't worry, that's really like it. Every single build, every single class can be played on almost any content in the game. That's just my whole thing. How to play a class? Step 1, find what looks cool. Step 2, then play Guardian. I would say play the class that you enjoy, because every class, especially in PvE, is completely fine to be played. And very good as well. They balanced it quite well, I would say, because the recent balance patches made it really easy to play all classes and all content because they have a build for every single encounter, for sure. Core professions are a bit like the sorting hat from Harry Potter. You get really excited to find yours. Yeah, I think I had a big problem when I started playing the game. And back then, elite specs didn't exist. I played like 3 different classes, 5 different classes before I really decided on one. That's a big problem. You should stick to one, get it to level 80 that you enjoy playing, and then after that you can easily mix and match and play new classes. But the first one should be quite soon. You should decide on it, because you don't want to get 8 classes to level 10 and you don't experience anything good about the game other than just showing a little bit of different classes. I want a Paragon to be the true warrior healer. Yeah, that will come out. Don't worry. Next in October 28th, that's my prediction. We will get Paragon. Yes, don't worry. My son was running a group and advertised for a healer. He kicked the person who joined because they didn't heal. They said they were a healer because they had a heal on 6. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes people are a little bit like lost. Sometimes they're trolling, but of course that's reasonable to kick someone that doesn't provide heals to the party for sure. What did you decide on? So my first character that I got to level 80 was a ranger. But the funny thing is, as soon as I got to level 80, I switched to Elementalist and played Elementalist. And that's what I stuck around with for a rather long time. But back then, I also noticed that Warrior was like the only thing that people used in dungeons. So I also leveled a Warrior, and that was like the main thing that I played after that. But for me, it was always like I play very efficiently when it comes to games. So I played like to level 80, and after that I leveled so many characters just to fill every role and play every single encounter and stuff, how people think it's the best. So yeah, I think starting with Ranger was for me personally not the best thing because I didn't enjoy it as much in the end. But it's okay, you know, you will get there and will notice it at some point and find a class that suits your playstyle. Do you think Paragon will be Alacrity? That's an interesting take. I guess. I actually guess. If I would have to choose between Quickness or Alacrity for Paragon, I would think it's probably Alacrity. Yeah. I think so, yeah. A heal warrior with a specialization that actually dedicated to supporting is really exciting. I see it being the best healer. I'm not sure if it will be the best healer, but I think it will really fit the role of like healing Berserker right now, because healing Berserker is a little bit weird from the fantasy, class fantasy. But I think the general how it plays and how it feels, I think it should feel really fun. Healing warrior sounds really cool. I would play it for sure. Will it be broken? Probably at release. Will it be as good as Chronomancer? We don't know. We will see, I guess. We will see. But I will highly expect the new elite specs to be absolutely broken and completely OP at the beginning of the game, of the release, so that's just how they typically balance it. Had a friend learning Druid at some point who just camped staff and barely understood how CA worked. I mean, to be honest, camping staff is already providing a lot of value, but of course CA is important for Alacrity, so should probably get in there, yeah. Yeah, I think Warrior is really good right now. I think you could see how good this healing Warrior build is, and it's not even like made for it. You have like only one trait that is really helping you to heal or provide boons. Like the other traits in Berserk are not really that good. So this is like the only trait that you use, and then you have the core traits. So I think Paragon will be way better than this one. I'm wondering how people are able to come up with the most bunker level of builds in PvP. Yeah, I mean, you just try it out. I came up with the bunker scotch on my own as well before the monthly AT, and then people played in monthly AT exactly like I did it. It's just some common sense at some point if you have enough experience in the game mode. Just you need to play the game for long enough to actually get that. Yeah, that's just how it is, I guess. So Paragon should be able to pick Quickness or Alacrity. Oh, that would be really cool. So like Chronomancer. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. Oh, I have to update my name. Give me a second. I have to update my game to get into World versus World. I think it would be cool if warriors would share toughness. Sounds like the ideal class fantasy for them. The problem is that would be a unique buff, and I think ArenaNet is really scared to introduce unique buffs like that. It would be amazing. I would love that. Without a doubt, that would be amazing. But I'm not sure if ArenaNet really implements that. I really don't know. I would really hope so, but you never know until they actually do it. I hope that Paragon utility skills aren't supported so that shouts and banners are still useful. I think they should have some kind of support, but a niche support where you can play them if you want, but they have a different support than shouts so that you can mix and match. That would be my hope there. So we are back after reloading the game. So let's get some camps. The thing is, all heal warrior builds get their support from the core specialization. Exactly. The real crazy support comes from tactics and discipline. That's it. You don't need to have the elite spec only You need it only for quickness or alacrity. So the Paragon could provide a lot of value because of the Paragon Elite spec being designed as a support already. So I really think Paragon will be the best healer on Warrior. Will it be crazy good? Probably, but only because every class will be crazy good. So there's a guy standing there. Let's just kill the mobs here. They fixed some of the problems with Heal Quick Warrior latest patch, but does the quickness rate still not trigger if the burst is blocked and invulnerable? Yes, as far as I know, that's still the case. But it's still very, very strong in my opinion. I played it. You saw how crazy the boon output is. You can upkeep permanent 11 boons. That's insane. There is no spec that can upkeep 11 boons other than Warrior. Warrior is like insane because of that. So this is a no, this is a Tempest. That's a good matchup, I would say. We got this Corrupt. No, we didn't get the Corrupt, but we got this. Is nice. We got the kill. Very good. What do I need to sacrifice to get an open world legendary ring? Please end it. I think with the next expansion we might get that. I think they will try to get open world legendaries for every single slot. So I actually see that happening. I see that happening, yeah. Welcome, Havoc. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the Celestial Heal Mirage video. It's ridiculous. I went in with barely any rotation, survived an extreme damaging field while dealing 16k DPS without infusion, without Mallet Satchel. Yeah, it's insane. It's like, this is like such a power creep. You can spam a DPS skill and you will out-heal the extremely damaging field. It's insane. It's such a crazy good build. It's crazy. It's really fun as well. So if you haven't seen it, be sure to give it a try. Heal Alacrity Celestial Mirage. Insane damage, insane healing output. Really, really good. The resistance is pretty nice on Heal Warrior. Yeah, you have permanent resistance, which is obviously something that is quite good in some encounters, you know? Like, if you get weakness, if you get even immobilized, that can be really nasty in the wrong situation. But with Heal Warrior, no one cares. That's really good. That's a Barebow Ranger. You are not in a very good spot, my friend, I have to be honest. I'm fighting fair and will not use my elite skill here. Yeah, but Present Me will hate it, although I have time to think about it because I can't play for now. Yeah, I would say the ring is quite likely, but they didn't announce any legendaries yet with the new expansion. So I'm hoping that we get at least 2. My biggest hope one, that we would get a full, like full Oreen set, something like that. That would be amazing. But I think we will only get maybe 1. I really think they will just focus on 1 maybe. That's better than none, but I really hope they give us multiple legendaries. I think that would be amazing. That's just the longevity of the new content. Legendaries are amazing for that. Yeah. Just flip camps and watch YouTube videos. In the meantime, you aren't rewarded based on skill. You are rewarded in the amount of time spent in World vs. World. Yes, exactly. You know, that's World vs. World in a nutshell. Just have fun. Try to play the game mode passively and get the rewards for it. So you can get this stuff quite easily. You don't have to be very good or engaged with the content. That's just World vs. World, yeah. Legendary armor from World bosses? I have to be honest. We already have an open world legendary armor. So would they really do another one? I hope they don't, because that's like a wasted opportunity, I think. They should actually get the other slots rather than another armor. I think it's already quite easy to get as an open world player. That might be a hot take, but I don't know. Legendary inventory packs? Oh my god, you know, that's not the... I would grind that in the first day. You know, I'm a bag enjoyer after all, so I would actually get that instantly. I'm not sure how that would look like though. I really don't. So would it be like for every slot? Then you wouldn't go for 30 slot packs anymore. So I don't really know what actually is happening. How that would actually be like, oh, there are a lot of people coming. I think I will be dying here soon. Run! 40 slot packs, that would be amazing. I'm always up for stuff like that. So there are not that many people followed me. So I could actually win that. It's only 2 people, I think. Oh my god. And now I got the seat down. It's not nice. That was a nasty CC, to be honest. Kill the hub, kill the hub. Yes! Good. No, I will die again. Yeah, I mean, that's too many people. How many are there? 4 people? I can't win that, sadly. Open world legendary ring? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's more likely, yeah. I see that. Really, people really want an open world legendary armor from open world bosses? I guess. I mean, I'm not sure. I think they will not get it. But if they want it, maybe it gives in then. 1 on all characters. Choose which functionality of the bag would be enough, I guess. Maybe 36 slots. But you would get 1 and then you can use it on 1 character. Or you mean you can use it on 1 slot? Like I needed like 10 legendary bags to fill all my bag slots? Something like that? Maybe? But I would grind that, of course. But then all my bags would be completely useless. I'm not sure if they would want to do that, you know, giving me legendary bags and all my already grinded for 200 gold each of my, I don't know how many 100 of those I have, would be completely useless. That would be insane, to be honest. I really don't see it happening because not a lot of people care that much about big slots, but I would love it. I would love it. Make a super grindy achievement like the Gen 3 skills, but it's so upgraded, the back slot spaces, 20, 22, 24, and now that would be legendary grind for ages. That would be cool. I would do it. I would do it. But I don't see it happening, to be honest. I think they are really focused on making open world the game mode where you can get all legendaries. I think a legendary aqua breeder is more likely to come in the next expansion than getting a legendary bag. But I would be completely happy if we get it. Just saying, I think it's not that likely. But can Warrior be fine in all types of PvE content? Raids, Fractals, solo, open world? Yes, very much so. It's really good. It can fill all roles. It can be an offensive supporter. It can be full DPS. It can be a healer. It can be a solo build. It's really good in all game modes. Yes, of PvE that is. Yeah. Yeah, it could be a precursor. Yeah, I would like that. Yeah, good point. I like the precursor idea. So this is someone with a confetti infusion? So I think I can win this. This is not a very tough matchup for me, to be honest. This guy is fast, but it's also someone that also might be dead very soon. Come on, stop rolling around. Vindicate in a nutshell. Oh, come on. Look at the dodge up time. What is this? Whoa, I got outplayed by perma-spamming dodges. The infinite 101. Yeah, it would be really fun, but I think we don't get it. That's just the sad truth. I hope the new expansion brings a legendary underwater breeder. Yeah, I hope so too, just to fill all my slots. You know, that's the only thing that is missing. I need a legendary underwater breeder. That's the only thing. Everything else is legendary. I have even the underwater weapons and sigils and everything. Just this one. This is missing. Honestly, sounds good. My best breeder is yellow rarity. Yeah, I think I have some ascended ones, but you know, it's completely, it's just not like feeling as great as a legendary for sure. Thanks for the follows, by the way. Really appreciate it. Legendary bag, 1000 Mystic coins. Oh my god, that alone would be crazy. That would drive up the Mystic coin prices like insanely. Yeah, for sure. I would still do it, but I'm not sure. I think it would not be the thing that is actually like keeping a lot of people playing the game. You know, it's not the grind that you want to see. You want to have people having crazy new skins that are very flashy and people just engage with it and want to showcase the new skins that they get. I think a new bag is way less exciting. I think a new Aquapeter is way less exciting because you have like almost no content where this is actually where you actually want to have that. But definitely, I mean, I would go for it, and I think a lot of veterans would go for it. But I think the open world legendary ring is like almost a given. Yeah. Doesn't mean it will happen. ArenaNet is always a little bit like unhinged in terms of what they sometimes do with the game. But I personally think that that might be. Yeah, this is a scrapper. I think I can take that 1-on-1. Okay, just have to concentrate here for a second. Okay, it's running away. Legendary bag could change the idle animation when you open your inventory. That would be cool. That would be really cool. I don't know if they can do that, if they actually have that like technology to change that. At least very easily. But I think that would be amazing. I would love that. That would be a feature that I would like. It would be visual clutter, and that would be probably really bad for a lot of people. People would just tune it down all the time. But I would like that, for sure. Speaking of flashy skins, just finished my Nevermore yesterday, right in time before holiday. Nice, congrats. That's a really nice one. That is definitely one of the more unique legendaries because you have the real collection to do, and it's just, it feels like a crazy legendary achievement that you got. It feels way better than just purchasing a Twilight from the trading post, at least in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, if you buy a Twilight from the trading post, that's completely fine. Just saying, it feels way more legendary if you went your own world exploration, that all your stuff to get the collection done and stuff that feels very nice, just a really cool, you get rewarded for your time. That's what I like. I currently play Power Mech. I feel like as a warrior it would be a lot of sweating. I mean, Power Rival Mech is very easy, that is true. Warrior is a little bit more spammy, but to be honest, I think it's not necessarily harder. It just uses a little bit more button presses. Is that a bad thing? Depends who you ask. I personally like to be more active than just letting my mech do everything. But that's just my playstyle. Maybe you enjoy mech more, then you stick with mech. Yeah, of course, I don't want to have a dreamer level of legendary. I agree with you. That sounds horrible. I don't want to have crazy noise and just weird looking skins. I don't like that. Yeah, I agree. Now I got legendary weapons from each generation. That sounds good. Yeah, very good. Very nice. No, I'm not saying that Twilight is bad. I'm just saying if you purchase a Twilight from the trading post, it feels, in my opinion, way less as an achievement than if you would actually get Nevermore or Hope or Astralaria or Chuka and Jumpabot for yourself. That's just my take there. Yeah, exactly. The journey, the quest was an experience for sure. Yeah, I think the Generation 2 legendaries, by design, were probably the best legendaries, but they have their negatives as well. Because I can understand why some people say they want tradable legendaries, because if they can't play the game for long and still want to have the skin, I can understand why they actually want to grind gold rather than going for map completion. I think that is a fair point. I wouldn't say I'm with them, I'm just saying it's a fair point. But if you compare the process to Gen 1 and Gen 3, next to Legendary is gonna probably be Gen 3, but I will get Chuka and Jumpabot or Astralaria down the line as well. Yeah, I think the process of getting them is a little bit annoying, especially the crafting of the ones that don't have a collection. That is just, you know, it's just a time sink, and not necessarily a time sink, it's just you standing IFK and crafting all Mithril and Elder stuff. It just feels very bad in that sense. But it's, at least you can't trade them, you know, there's that. I feel it too, gameplay feels too passive on Power Mech. Yeah, I mean, then probably Warrior is better for you, I guess. If you buy Twilight on the TP, you are a scum. I wouldn't go as far, but I'm saying it's it feels more like you play the game if you actually get the legendary for yourself, especially your first one. You know, the experience of getting your first legendary, in my opinion, is really nice. If you get your first map exploration, get everything the first time, and then you invest it into your first legendary, I think that's a really amazing feeling. And getting it from the TP feels a little bit like you skip the part that makes it like feel like an achievement. I will not say it's bad to do so, I'm just saying it doesn't feel as nice in my opinion. But it's like I said, it's just my opinion on the matter. One day I will craft Exordium, but I'm afraid I will think to myself, what now? For your info, I made Twilight from the Wizards World Starter Kit. I mean, that's obviously, that's the way how you do it. Wizards World Starter Kit is exactly what ArenaNet and most players actually enjoy, you know, that you get the Legendary Starter Kit and you engage with the content to get the Legendary. That's good, that's what we want. So don't be ashamed with you because of that. That's exactly how you want to do it. And at some point you will go to Exodia and hopefully you will play some classes after that just to see the Exodia in play. Sure, that's how I would engage with that. My first legendary was indeed Twilight of the TP. Yeah, I mean, that's completely fine, Reckon. I'm just saying it is not something that I would say feels as legendary as crafting it yourself. But it doesn't mean it's bad. I think it still feels like a cool thing to get because it's an expensive item and looks cool and has really good utility. So yeah, sure, I can totally see that. I'm just saying, in my opinion, like getting Nevermore feels a little bit more, I don't know, like a MMO thing to get. Let's put it like that. Yeah. Of course, you're right, Snowdrop. That could also be the thing to do. Just having a lot of real money, and then you get the legendaries as well. Yeah, at some point, yeah, 100%. I still remember my first legendary. It was Gen 3 sword, which I then sold to craft the second one to sell. With that gold, I made the actual generation's shining blade that I wanted. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's also smart. You know, I made I think I was one of the first, if not the first, that made the legendary Oreen hammer, and I sold it for I don't know, at that point 7k or something. And then I made 3 legendaries out of that one or something. So yeah, it was worth for me, you know, at that point to make the back in EOD launch. But of course I had legendaries made before that, but still, that is definitely the way to do it, yeah. Yeah, of course you need 2 swords for your sword, greatsword reaper, yes. I mean, you know, I need 4 spears because I might run spear underwater. So what's that? You know, I want to get 4 spears. Currently I only have 3, so that's not good enough. So there's always something to go for in Guild Wars 2, don't worry about it. After you get your Exordium, it will be, what legendary should I get next? The free legendary on your ult is addicting? Yeah, that's true. That looks like a problem to me. I can see that, yeah. 3 legendary weapons, all Black Lion skins, 4k achievement points. You know how to get that. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot. I have all the legendaries almost. I think I'm missing 7 or something. And I have all the Black Lion trading post skins, of course, as well. But look at my achievement points. You know, I have a lot of them, even though I'm not an achievement hunter. So I think if someone reaches this amount of gold, having only 4k achievement points, there is something weird. Definitely, yeah. What makes you go to craft and sell a legendary instead of working just on the legendary you want? Because you get more money out of that. If you are the patient person and sell it when a lot of people actually want to get it, you get 2 times, 3 times the money of an actual legendary worth. And you can then craft 2 that you actually want. That's the whole thing there and why it works so well. Stun break? No stun break? This guy is so dead. He doesn't know it yet, but he's so dead. You are also dead, my friend. One second, I have to kill this guy. Come on, just stop. Just stop it. There we go. Honestly, legendaries are one of the coolest things in Guild Wars 2. I love the grind for it. Yeah, I think legendaries are really cool. I think that's why I enjoy playing the game, because I have so much goals to go for, and legendaries are really long-term goal. If they wouldn't exist, I probably would have quit the game already, because I'm someone that likes to have a goal. Only playing different specs without having some gold that you can spend the gold on feels like it's a waste, and feels like of a little bit less like an MMO. So I think legendary definitely feel that way, and that's really good that we have that. My first legendary was Twilight of some guy from Overflow Trading Discord. I remember playing 3 days, almost 13 hours a day, just farming gold for it. That feels like a good achievement then as well. Just saying, in my opinion, getting like a collection of achievements, getting the legendary yourself feels a little bit more like you actually crafted it yourself in the classical MMO questing style. That's just my old statement there. Missing only 7 legendaries is insane. I mean, I played the game for way too long. You know, that's just, it doesn't mean that I'm like very special because of that. I just spent way too much in the time in the game, and at least now I can get some value out of that and providing knowledge and just having some nice interaction with you, making a YouTube channel and stuff like that. Yes, that's a good thing, but spending so much time in the game, it's not a good achievement. You know, if I would have spent that time, I would be a professional piano player. Yeah, if I would have learned the piano in that time. That's just a fact. So, and I'm not even like very good at making music. So, just saying. Warcraft 1, because Generation 2 legendaries are damn expensive. Yeah, the Generation 2s with the Mystic coins, they are really expensive. Yeah, 100%. It was to efficiency, look up legendary, farm needed materials yourself. This opened up the game to me a lot more than just spamming most efficient gold farm. Yeah, I see. Definitely try out different farms and have more fun with that way. For sure, for sure. Piano stream when? Yeah, I would have like negative viewers because people would really like, they needed to like, I would get paid to stop playing, something like that. You don't want to see that, or hear that rather. Yeah, exactly. Professional piano player, aka Elementalist man. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Yeah, I think that's also the end of today's stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel. I have a lot of cool content coming up. And thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for being here on stream. Thanks for the support, follows, subs. Really appreciate it. And I hope to see you all around. Have a good night and see you around. Thanks.